It looks like Trump Republicans are trying to kick Thomas Massie out of the Republican Party again. This already happened in 2020 when Thomas Massie stood up against the CARES Act during COVID and told the unpopular truth about stuff that most people weren't ready to hear in March.
President Trump was pushing through. Thomas Massie was trying to say, no, we have to do this correctly. We still have a constitution. It has not gone away. And I'm proud of him. I totally support him for what he did.
So he said he would, on the phone, he told me he was going to come at me like I'd never seen, never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you.
In which Trump unsuccessfully tried to kick Thomas Massie out of the party and then ended up endorsing him. Now it's here again. The pitchforks are out against Thomas Massie. Why? He voted against a censure with Schiff that held a $16 million fine. Why did he vote no? Was it the right vote? Was it the wrong vote? Is he a traitor? Should you listen to opportunist influencers who exploit your emotion at every turn for their own personal benefit? Or should you at least consider what he's saying, since he has a better voting record than 99.9% of Congress and most of the people hating on him? I think you should give him a listen, and we'll talk about a few things that are beneficial to think about whether you agree with me or not. I'm all about value, and the Dream Rare podcast starts now. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from our... What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of the Dream Rare Podcast. I think I'm going to open the chat for everybody on YouTube so you guys can talk and say what you want. But we're going to go over this story because a lot of people are weaponizing their base against Thomas Massie today, one of the best, if not the best, congressman in the Republican Party, because of his vote on the Schiff Censure, however you say that word. Before I get into that, I want to show this clip of Thomas Massie because it's him on Tim Pool's podcast, all credit to Tim, talking about how Donald Trump the first time tried to already kick him out of the Republican Party because he stood up against the CARES Act and said, if everybody's going to stay home and there's going to be some people working, we need to come into work. We can't record the biggest spending bill in history and hide our votes. So he was the only congressman who was saying that what they were doing during the lockdown and the CARES Act was unconstitutional. Take a listen to this real quick. He explains it pretty well.
President Trump was pushing through. Thomas Massie was trying to say, no, we have to do this correctly. We still have a constitution. It has not gone away. And I'm proud of him. I totally support him for what he did.
So he said he would, on the phone, he told me he was going to come at me like I'd never seen, never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you.
Trump said that. Awesome.
Yeah, he said.
I feel like
he also reminded me, which is true, he's more popular than me in Kentucky. And he said it would be the end of me. And I tried to tell him this was constitutional and we needed to do it this way. And it would still pass anyway because most people were for it. We just couldn't break the Constitution today. And he repeated, I'm coming at you like you've never seen, never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you. And then he said that I was I didn't know what that meant. But before I got back to my seat, I found out. He said I was a third-rate grandstander.
Ooh. On Twitter.
He tweeted about you.
On Twitter, yeah.
And you're in trouble when that happens.
Yeah, and that I should be thrown out of the GOP and some other stuff. So when I walked out of the floor, having objected and making everybody show up to work, which they hated, by the way, they still wouldn't take a recorded vote. Even though they had a quorum, they would not put their names on that bill. And when I walked out, the press wanted to know what I had to say for myself. That my own president had called me a third-rate grandstander. And I looked at him, I said, I was offended. I'm at least second-rate.
Did you guys?
So just to accurately portray history before everybody forgets, because Thomas Massie never gets his flowers for this. And whether you agree with his vote or not, people are yelling, traitor, you're out. They're already screaming. I think you guys are probably the ones that need to hear this the most. And that's why I'm going to tell a few stories too. But first of all, he was the only one who was calling out the CARES Act and saying that it was cheese in the trap and saying it was going to screw the Republicans over and saying that they needed to record their vote. You can't just do a spending bill with no recorded vote. And Trump tried to kick him out of the party for being right, for being against socialism, for being against Congress not showing up to work, yet trying to vote from home while they made certain people go into work. Just sharing that. And even when you disagree with him, he always explains why he votes the way he votes. Before we get to the censure of Adam Schiff, I keep calling him Adam Smith. I have 3 stories to tell because I think it really will wake some people up, possibly, maybe not, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, first one is about music industry contracts. Okay. They always tell you what you want to hear because they want to catch you in a contract. So, when you go into any sort of contract with a record company or even a TV company, you got to read it. You can't just be like, oh, I want to be famous. I want to be successful. That's how they get you. They exploit your emotions. They exploit the fact that you want something in order to get you. So because I went through that as a kid, I saw through that. I was talking to a friend one time. She was super happy about a job and she was like, oh, this is going to be so great, telling me all this stuff. And it just wasn't adding up. And I'm the type of blunt friend. I just say the truth, whether people like it or not. And I didn't want to seem like a dick, but I'm like, yo, that doesn't seem real. That seems sketchy. I'd look out. And they perceived it as, oh, he isn't happy for me. Oh, he wants me to fail. Oh, he's jealous or whatever. A year later, long story short, that same girl comes back to me and she said, hey, Anomaly, you were totally right about that job I did. It was all fake. It was sketchy. They didn't pay me. And she goes, how did you know? Because she got mad at first, or at least like probably perceived it as, oh, he's not look like he's telling me something I don't want to hear because I'm so excited about this situation. But I'm always like looking through it and being like, that's not what you think it is. And it wasn't. Someone's yelling traitor, traitor, rhino in the comment section. You need to hear these stories the most because just like a record contract or a job that tells you what you want to hear to exploit you, and then you get in it and then you come back a year later like, wait, how did you know that? Well, because I'm not just super emotional and I read things and I look through them. So with that being said, I understand that the left is extremely emotional and childish, and that's why they're easy to exploit. But what I'm starting to learn, and I'm not trying to be rude about it, I'm trying to lift people up out of it. The right is incredibly emotional there, and they're incredibly easy to exploit. Even the people screaming in the comment section, they'll scream traitor, traitor, rhino at somebody with the best voting record in Congress. Thomas Massie isn't a traitor. Thomas Massie isn't a rhino. Even when you disagree with him, he's the most transparent person in Congress. He'll always explain his thought process behind it, and he's probably one of the only ones in Congress with the thought process behind it. You don't have to like him. He's not a traitor, and he's not a rhino. The reason you think that is because you're constantly getting exploited by politicians who know that you want to save the country. So they use you. They use your emotions just like the left uses emotions. And these people, rhino, traitor, rhino, 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 you're just going to keep getting exploited on loop by a bunch of fraudulent people who want to use your emotion and your goodwill to use you. Now, the next thing, I just wanted to tell those because they're more like, normal stories where it happens in everyday life. I see this all the time. When it comes to this, I heard of the censure yesterday and I deleted it because I didn't understand the multiple elements to it. A censure, for those who don't know, is pretty much nothing. It's like an extreme disapproval, a virtue signal, a way that Congress tells you you're a bad boy, and nothing ever happens. When it comes to this censure that they were trying to do to Adam Schiff, they were trying to fine him $16 million if he was found wrong in the investigation. And most Republicans voted for it. And 2 of my favorite Republicans, Kevin Kiley from California, one of the real ones, one of the guys who stood up against the COVID tyranny, and Thomas Massie, my favorite person in Congress, they both voted against it. So, influencers like DC Drano are trying to call everyone cowards, 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 and just rile everybody up and weaponize his base against them. But the first thing I did, it's not that I have to agree with Thomas Massie or Kevin Kiley. I agree with a lot of things that Drano says. I disagree with the fact that he acts like everyone else is a coward, but he never calls Trump out. So he's kind of like a hypocrite. It's like he'll attack everybody else, but if Trump does something, he's like his lapdog. That's fine. But when you start calling the best Congress people cowards all the time, it's like have a little bit of self-accountability and self-awareness. If you're not willing to say certain things to your daddy, then maybe you shouldn't just try to weaponize your base against one of the only legitimate congressmen who did what Trump didn't do, which was stood against the lockdowns and against the socialist scam. So if you're not willing to give Thomas Massie credit for being against socialism, communism, and tyranny in 2020, when your daddy did it, then maybe you shouldn't just try to rile up your emotional base and use it against Thomas Massie. So long story short, I like a lot of things that all of these people say, but unlike everyone else, I didn't just yell traitor, 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 rhino, 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 rhino. That's how the Republican base just constantly abuses their audience. It's like you guys just run them in circles. But anyway, I'm like, well, Kevin Kiley is a good person. Thomas Massie is probably the best person in Congress. So I started analyzing. I'm like, why is everyone so mad? Do you get what I'm saying? Even if you disagree with me and Thomas Massie and everyone, think about what you do. You're yelling F Massie, but you're not even listening. You're easy to exploit. You're emotional. You're F Massie, F Massie. Why don't you take 3 minutes to stop being so angry, emotional, and so easy for the uniparty to run you in circles and listen? Listen to a perspective without just screaming emotionally like a liberal or a little girl. So unlike these people, God bless you guys, I'm like, let me try to figure out what's going on, because 2 pretty good people voted against this and they have a better track record than most of Congress. Thomas Massie explained himself. He said, I don't want to give the power to the House to fine somebody $15 million. If we do that, they're going to use it against us times 30. Think about it. It's like, it's a stupid move, in my opinion. You could say yes, but I get it. People are not very thoughtful about stuff. Do you want to give the power of the House? You know, Republicans don't always control power. Do you want them to be able to bankrupt all your favorite Republicans in office and just fine them tens of millions of dollars for whatever they want and bankrupt? And you know what would happen too? Republicans are so fake and so naive, and the base just gets rolled over time and time again. Republicans would do this one time to Adam Schiff, and then they'd do it 50 times to you, and they'd wipe out all your favorite people. Because unlike the Republicans, Democrats actually wield the power they have. But this isn't a thing. You can't just fine somebody $15 million. You can investigate Adam Schiff, and if you investigate him and he did something illegal, then arrest him if he broke the law. But to fine him $15 million is opening up the slippery slope of allowing Congress to fine people. So I agree with Thomas Massie and I agree with Kevin Kiley, but the people who disagree, they don't even want to think about it. They just want to yell traitor. And this is all I have to say too with all of this stuff. People will say, well, the Democrats will do whatever and they'll abuse power. Why don't we? Here's my question to all of these rabid hyenas who are trying to go after the only constitutional conservative that we have left. Why didn't you stand up with the Constitution with Thomas Massie in 2020? That was a lot bigger of a deal. We had trillions of dollars printed. We had $18 billion vaccine socialism. We had 15 days to slow the spread. Congress hit it home and did these proxy votes. That's unconstitutional. And Thomas Massie was the only one standing against the Republican Party saying, this is going to be the biggest mistake we ever made. This is the cheese in the trap. This is socialism. You're going to print out these COVID commie checks and it's going to destroy their economy. Everybody didn't say that. Thomas Massie was the only one who said that. So all these people that are criticizing him now, that's fine. But were you saying that then? Will you criticize Donald Trump for not being there with Thomas Massie, trying to kick him out of the party? Will you call out all your other favorite Republicans? You won't? Then how are you? Who cares? You know, it's like, it's all fake. These people are so fake. And it's just disgusting and dark and evil to watch people that I thought were good people try to weaponize their base like rabid hyenas against somebody that is 20 times the constitutional voter Trump is, 20 times the man that the people that these people worship are. It's one thing to disagree. It's one thing to be upset. It's one thing to just constantly deceive your base and know that they're easy to exploit because they're emotional. And it's a stupid, stupid idea. When people were saying all this stuff about Mike Pence and him being able to send the electorates back, it was done hundreds of years ago. The thing I thought and they're like, oh, he's a coward, a traitor, traitor. It's like, shut up, you phonies. I'm thinking to myself, Republicans are going to say all this stuff. They're not going to actually do it. And now they're basically opening the door for the Democrats to do something like that because so many of these people were like, well, Mike Pence can do this and that, but he didn't actually do it because he never was. And it would have been a very unprecedented thing to do. Now you've really opened up the door for Kamala to be like, well, remember when Republicans said that I have the power to change shift the electorates back. And if the Democrats flip the votes, then, they're opening up the floodgates for Democrats to do it. So if you're going to be able to charge with a censure, it doesn't make sense. Either these people are lying or they don't care, or I'm not really sure, but people said Adam Schiff is a traitor. Then investigate him legally and find something. Republicans don't do anything. You can't just take $15 million from someone in a censure. You could try. It probably wouldn't even pass in court, but Thomas Massie's not a bad person for looking at it and being like, this is stupid. I don't like Adam Schiff. Why don't you invest? You know what you do when someone breaks the law? You hold them accountable, you bring them to court, and then it happens. You don't take $15 million from them in a censure. You could try to do it. It's not going to work. But in general, you do that to Adam Schiff. Now, the next time the Democrats get office, they could just bankrupt the entire Republican Party. They could say, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene is racist and she broke this rule. This person talked about Israel. This person is anti-Muslim. This person's a sexist. This one, didn't do this. And then they could fine and bankrupt the entire Republican Party. And the funniest thing about the Republicans and the Democrats is the Republicans would do this one time. Democrats would do this 100 times. Someone said, how's the $15 million going to help our side anyway? It's not. I mean, it would send a message, I guess, but there's other ways to send a message. I don't know. It just seems super, super fake to me. And it's just disappointing to see so many people. I wish they were just consistent. If you're mad at Thomas Massie for not breaking the Constitution and passing something that would be used against Republicans and probably would never work, and it's completely unprecedented because that's not what a censure is and never will be. If that's what you're so mad at that, right? You're so mad, you're so angry, you're riling up your base over that, right? Were you mad when Trump extended the 15 days to slow the spread? Were you mad when Trump printed $6 trillion? Were you mad when he gave $18 billion to Operation Warp Speed? Were you mad when he took a meeting with Bill Gates in 2018 and implemented his policy in 2019? Were you mad when he no? Then just stop. Just stop. Then that's what this movement's really become. And I had a great debate with this guy called Red Eagle Patriot. And someone said, if you think Massie's a cunt, you might be telling on yourself. I like Thomas Massie. He's one of the few genuine people in politics. I don't know why he wants to do this stuff. He's surrounded by a bunch of demons and snakes. But anyway, I had a great debate with someone called Red Eagle Patriot. I'm going to share it tomorrow. He's a Trump supporter. He wants Trump to win. Very reasonable guy. And we had a great dialogue about why I'm not feeling the Trump campaign, but I see what he's saying. And it was fantastic because he was very mature. It was a very good time. But long story short, this is the point that I'm starting to see that's really starting to get interesting is people are branding like Rhino, Traitor, Rhino, Traitor. And the base just keeps saying Rhino, Traitor, Rhino, Traitor, Rhino, Traitor. But I'm just asking for some consistency because if you say you're a traitor for not voting for this bill, then is Trump a traitor when he did this 15 times and he did way worse stuff than that and he didn't do this and that? No. Then it doesn't, then you're not an honest person anymore. If Massie's a traitor for doing that, he's a traitor for doing that. I can find you 50 things that Trump did worse, way worse than that, but he's not a traitor, right? Because you eat steaks at Mar-a-Lago, right? He's not a traitor because you depend on him for your political career, right? So you don't really mean that word. If he's a rhino, first of all, Thomas Massie's not a rhino. He's one of the only good people in Congress, and it doesn't matter who you are, Trump, DeSantis. Thomas Massie is going to vote and say what he believes, whether it agrees with you or not. He disagrees with DeSantis on E-Verify, and he didn't change his stance on E-Verify. He told you the truth about E-Verify. DeSantis is passing it. Massie disagrees with that. Even though Massie's endorsing DeSantis, he will disagree with him because Massie has a spine, a soul, and a brain, something a lot of the influencers trying to ruin his career don't have. They don't have those things, or they hide them, or they sold them in order to gain clout in the Trump world. So he's the best type of congressman you could have. If Trump's in there, if DeSantis is in there, and Biden's in there, Thomas Massie is going to be the same exact person. Even if you don't like him, even if you don't agree with him, he's going to be that same guy, and he's going to vote on his principles. If everybody was like him, the party would be awesome. So how in the world are these people going to weaponize their base to try to kick Thomas Massie out of the party now for one vote that's constitutional because you don't have the power to do that in a censure, and he rightfully thinks the Democrat would shove it down your throat times 40? Doesn't make any sense. I want to read Marjorie Taylor Greene's tweet because she's friends with Massie, and she came to his defense, which is super nice of her. She doesn't have to do that. I thought it was very genuine of her. I appreciate it. Thank you, Marjorie. Here's what she said. She wrote a thread on Twitter. I'm going to read the whole thing. She said, one of my all-time favorite stories is when Thomas Massie was the only member of Congress that stood up against the entire weight of Washington trying to stop the CARES Act from passing, and was the lone voice trying to remind everyone that the Constitution still stands. In March of 2020, as COVID spread during a time of mass confusion, misinformation, rational fear for some, irrational fear for most, Massie courageously went to Washington and demanded a vote on a historic bill. It was the right thing to do, and everyone attacked him for it. He was threatened with primaries and many other things, but he never wavered in his determination to defend the Constitution, even when most of the country was yelling at him. I was cheering for him from Georgia because I was not yet elected, was adamantly opposed to shutdowns, and was grateful that one congressman had the courage to Sanford was right. And history proved him right. Yes, it did, Marjorie. Thanks for saying that. This week, she says, we voted on a censure resolution for Adam Schiff that carried a $16 million fine against the #1 Russia hoaxer. Schiff abused his power, knowingly lied to the American people about President Trump, and never produced the evidence that he had claimed. I voted no to the Democrats' motion to table the resolution because I believed America deserves to hear the debate that would have followed and exposed the facts about Adam Schiff's lies. And I look forward to voting on Anna Paulina Luna's next censure resolution. But some voted to the table. Thomas Massie, Ralph Norman, and myself have a lawsuit against Nancy Pelosi because she unconstitutionally fined us for not wearing masks on the House floor in 2021. During this week's fever pitch of internet pitchforks, everyone forgot that we were the few who refused to wear useless masks that did nothing and were fined $500 on the first offense and then $2,500 every time we stepped on the House floor without a mask. We believed in standing up to tyranny in Congress was important so that others could do it at home, especially children who were forced masks for absolutely no reason. She went on, she said, last Congress, when Democrats held the majority under Speaker Nancy Pelosi's direction, they passed this rule. The Sergeant at Arms is authorized and directed to impose a fine at any member, delegate, or resident commissioner for the failure to wear a mask at blah, blah, blah. And they were able to pass it because they were in the majority like they are now. But the 27th Amendment states, no law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened, and proves Nancy Pelosi's fines were unconstitutional. Those of us who have served in Congress know what Democrats are capable of, how badly they will abuse power, and fully expect them to do it again if they ever regain power. The 27th Amendment is why we are suing Nancy Pelosi for unconstitutionally fining us for not wearing masks. And the 27th Amendment of the Constitution is why Thomas Massie voted no against the table of the motion. No matter how people feel about an issue, whether they feel the Constitution should be suspended during a China virus scare, or whether the Constitution should be suspended to fine members of Congress for not obeying the Speaker's tyrannical mask rules, or whether they feel the Constitution should be suspended to punish one of the worst liars in Congress, it's not about people's feelings because we never should suspend or violate the Constitution. And those that refuse to bend to pressure campaigns but instead stand in the face of pressure to protect and uphold the Constitution are exactly the type of congressman we need during these tumultuous times. I was talking with my friend Matt Gaetz about this today, and both of us agree that Thomas Massie is undeserving of the internet pitchforks that are built on the uninformed or misinformed foundation of pressure campaigns, namely by DC Drano, to be honest. He's the one that's weaponizing his base shamelessly and hysterically to emotionally just attack Thomas without using critical thinking skills, which seems to be like his shtick now. It's sad because we're friends, but, you know, I guess that's his thing. It's just emotionally manipulate his base constantly, never talk about Trump, and then sick people like hyenas on them for doing 1/1000th of what Trump did. I guess that's his new thing. I wonder how he feels about it because he's probably it's pretty evil. But whatever. If that's what he wants to be, it's sad because I know he does a lot of good work. But anyway, I'm going to get back and then read the rest of it. And just because you occasionally but rarely see us on opposite sides of a vote, never make the mistake of believing we aren't on the same team just because we vote differently, maybe 1% of the time. By the way, in case you were blinded by internet torches being carried by those with the internet pitchforks and didn't know what other votes we took, we passed a resolution to overturn Biden and the ATF's rule against pistol braces, which was a major win for our razor-thin majority. We also protected gas stoves, thank goodness. Whoever would have thought to have such a vote to protect such a wonderful appliance to cook on that Democrats would try to destroy fossil fuels, but here we are. And we also passed many more good bills and had great hearings to expose the failures of the America last Biden regime. We will be back next week. And we'll see. So that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. But in general, we'll see if they win in court. They probably will because the mandate of the mask, fines were unconstitutional based on that amendment of the Constitution. So, I mean, whether you agree or disagree with Massie or not, he's not a traitor. It's like, why is he a traitor for upholding the Constitution 2 times? One time, the entire Republican Party tried to kick him out of the party. He was against socialism and communism. Trump was for socialism and communism. The CARES Act is socialist. Operation Warp Speed is socialist. All these things that Thomas Massie warned about. But Trump's not a traitor for doing communism and socialism because you swallow down Mar-a-Lago steaks. But you got everybody, But Thomas Massie's the bad guy because he's actually stands in his convictions, whether it goes with his party or not. I mean, this movement is becoming very, very dark and very, very evil. It's disgusting. It's a bunch of people with double standards, hypocrites. They don't believe anything they say. They'll literally try to bite someone's head off for doing something that Trump did, but when he does it, they just won't talk about it. And then they just call everybody cowards when you don't get emotionally manipulated by them. So I just have to say, whether it's in favor of this person or that person, please do not be so angry and emotional, because there's people out there that are trying to exploit your anger and exploit your emotion and exploit your programming to then weaponize you and just throw you back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it's not right. And it's not good. It's not fair. And this is why I don't even want to be in politics, because these are people that I used to think were like really great people and stuff. And I know everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has the right to disagree with this or that. But to try to tell everybody that Thomas Massie's a traitor and a rhino and vote him out, it's like, this is an evil movement now. If that's the movement, I said, if they successfully kick Thomas Massie out of the party, I'm unregistering as a Republican. He's the only one who votes against foreign aid to the country you're not allowed to talk about. He's constantly the only one who votes against speech laws when 99% of Congress do. He's the only person that's not sold out. His vote doesn't sway based on his endorsement. He's probably like one of the only congressmen that's not sold out to some extent. And you got influencers calling themselves MAGA that slurp down Mar-a-Lago states with Trump, trying to weaponize their base against the only good congressman. If you guys kick him out of the party, I'm out. Someone said he made a mistake. He didn't make a mistake. It's unconstitutional and probably won't stand up in court. You're not allowed to fine somebody. You could try, but it's not like this is your, like, let's break the Constitution. Let's break the Constitution. It has nothing to do with being weak. What people don't understand is Republicans have no problem breaking the Constitution to screw you. They break the Constitution 50 times. You guys can't call it out because you don't see it, because the influencers, I guess, don't tell you it's happening and you can't see it with your own eyes. And then the one time the one good guy says something that people don't want to hear, you freak out and cry about it. I do the same reporting for 2 years about COVID stuff. And all of a sudden, 4 weeks ago, people were like, oh, did DeSantis tell you to say that? No, I've been saying it since 2020. Why is it? It's a DeSantis thing now. Why? Because Trump programmed you overnight to thinking that the truth is DeSantis. And when he shamelessly lies about his vaccine and has no humility, that's the truth. And anybody who tells you the truth is a rhino. I'm sorry, but these people are manipulating you. Just like anyone could be a rhino, so could these. Trump could be a rhino. DC Drano could turn into a rhino. Just because they hang out with Trump doesn't mean they're the patriots that know everything and everybody else is a traitor and a rhino. That's not true. We all need self-accountability. We all need self-awareness, and we all need to tell the truth. And if he's a coward for standing up for the Constitution, how are you not a coward for not calling out the guy that shit on the Constitution in 2020? Because you need that guy for political opportunity and social clout. How does that not make you get what I'm saying? Just be honest, be fair. If you're going to call him a coward, but you won't say certain stuff against your guy when he does rhino activity, then do you really care about stopping the rhinos? Do you really care about draining the swamp? Do you really like it's all fake, guys. And it's really evil at this point. It is what it is. I don't think they're going to successfully kick Massie out of the party, but it's just like a stupid thing. I don't know. Like, yeah, that's what you want, right? You don't want to keep the country open. You don't want to stop but you just want that done now because you're emotional, right? That's what people want. Yeah, we know Adam Schiff sucks. Nancy Pelosi sucks. Joe Biden sucks. But this is what Republicans usually do too. They're like, I'm going to impeach Joe Biden. And you got people drooling on these pages. Yeah. They're not going to impeach Joe Biden. It's all fake. They just know that you're so easy to exploit. They're exploiting you. They know that you're emotional. They know that you're highly, like, you'll flip out and freak out. So they just say stuff. And then you act like that's the thing instead of being like, well, they caved on me here. And now they're trying to do this, which is nice. And they're still going to censure Adam Schiff, but they're going to do it constitutionally and not break the 17th Amendment doing it. And I'm sorry, I wouldn't do that. It's like, well, they took away the First Amendment, so I'm going to take away the First Amendment. I mean, if that's the game you guys want to play, that's fine. But I feel like that's not the game everyone wants to play. So Thomas Massie's not like a child in a sandbox. He's like, well, no, I actually believe in the Constitution, so we can hold Adam Schiff accountable, but we can't put some sort of fraudulent censure that 9 times out of 10 he's going to be in court anyway. It's not breaking the Constitution doesn't lead to where you think it leads. And the funniest part about the Republican situation is if Republicans just stood up for the Constitution, none of these problems would be a problem anyway. The problem is when they have power, they don't do anything. They gaslight you. They break the Constitution when it's convenient for them. They break it for big pharma. They break it for, their friends that probably pay them off. But then all of a sudden, like, no one notices that. Like, that's not a problem. The only problem is when, someone asks to run back the vote and he'll hold Adam Schiff accountable a different way. It's like, isn't there other ways to do it? A censure? That's the only way to do it. You think that, like, this is how easy it is to fool people. It's like, this is what's going to really stick it to Adam Schiff, and everybody's a traitor. And everyone's like, I'm a traitor. That's like, you guys think about stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's not just one thing to do. There's not just one way to do it. If what he did was illegal, then put together the right thing and do it. I get that they do these Jim Jordan things all the time. It's like, Jim Jordan said something in Congress. Whoa, Jim Jordan. What a good own. He really owned Rochelle Walensky, huh? I get it. Everyone's tired of that sort of stuff. But this, I don't know. It's like, it's just so fake to me. Like, we need to do this right now. And if we don't, everyone's a traitor. Guys, this is why I haven't been following the narrative for like the last 3 years, because I feel like everything's a huge setup. Like, when the whole Capitol thing was going on, I didn't know what to expect there. I just figured people would slobber over Trump or whatever, and he'd be like, vaccines are so good and Mike Pence is so bad. Vaccines good, Pence bad, vaccines good. Like, that's what I thought the rally was going to be. So I was like, I'm not trying to go to like a January 6th vaccine rally. I don't know. I don't trust this guy. Long story short, my intuition was telling me that something was off, and people should hear what I'm about to say, because I've already seen it happen multiple times. Before Bernie really caved to Hillary, I mean, he actually used to say real stuff. You could find old interviews. He's further right on immigration than Donald Trump was like 10 years ago, really. But anyway, once Bernie like really caved, he went from being someone that would say a lot of real stuff to somebody that just said a few things. And it was just the same phrases on loop. And I just started realizing, like, a lot of Bernie bros were like robots at that point. And I'm like, yo, Bernie's trying to program you guys. He's not telling the truth anymore. He says the same 5 phrases on loop. And I'm telling you, as somebody that followed Donald Trump for years, he's not the same person he used to be. He used to be on the cusp of every issue. He used to tell the truth about everything quickly. He's talking about it. He's talking about 1,000 different things. And then after the election, his Twitter feed went to like 5 things. It was like Moderna, election stolen, Moderna, election stolen, Moderna. And it wasn't that I didn't agree with what he was saying. I could just tell he was being a robot. And I'm like, this is not the same guy. It just feels like he's trying to program his base. And he's been saying the same things for like years, like rhino, traitor, rhino, election stolen, rhino, I'm the victim. And people in the Republican MAGA movement are like programmed. And no offense, but DC Drano is also programming people too, because on his Instagram page, it's 100% Trump grovel, 0% self-awareness for Trump. But he constantly just like hypes people up over people who did 1/8 of what Trump did. So if you really believe that, then why won't you call out Trump? Because you hang out with him and that's what you do. You will never do that. So now you have this false perception, this audience that is highly emotional and highly angry all the time at the stuff you're posting. And then you could throw them at Thomas Massie when you want, because they're all hyped up off just getting programmed and they've never seen the other side. They've never had a conversation. They now have double standards. They've now become hypocrites. If you believe this when DeSantis does it, but you don't believe it when Trump does it, you're no different than a leftist now. You're a hypocrite. You don't mean what you say. You just like one person over the policy. Isn't that what we spent so long making fun of the left for? Well, Trump does mean tweets, but he does a good job, but they don't like him for the mean tweets. It's the reverse with the Trump derangement syndrome with the people who love him. They have derangement syndrome in the sense of, instead of being mean tweets, they're great tweets. So it's like, even when Trump's policy and what he does is 1,000% wrong and they disagree with it, just like the left can't figure it out because of the mean tweets, they can't tell the truth about it because they like him so much. So now they have double standards. You could say, well, DeSantis is done because he did this. Trump did that 100 times. Well, it's different when he does it. Why? Because you're a hypocrite. Why? Because you hang out with him. Why? Because you need him for your career. Why? Because you won't tell the truth. Why? Why? Why is it different when he does it? Because you're not the same person. You're not telling the truth. So, long story short, after the election, I just started noticing in the tweets and in the rhetoric that it was like just programming, like Moderna election, Moderna election, Moderna election. And now these pages are just like programming people. And I wonder where they're leading them, because the last time they led them somewhere, a lot of people ended up in jail. It's like they like, people are like, yeah, Hillary's going to get arrested. Yeah. And then they ended up in prison because they believe they got programmed into a Fed trap. The same way they program people, like, you hear all these crazy stories about shooters that the feds are talking to and trying to egg on and stuff. It's all like public information. I'm not saying it's that, but it's starting to seem a lot like that, in the sense of like, they're just telling them the same stuff. Do you know how many people that were there on I'm not saying everybody, some people just like Trump, but they really thought something big was going to happen. They really thought, and they were going really, and then they end up in prison. They're like, how'd that happen? You got like programmed into a trap. So all this programming, all I'm saying is, like, I'm wondering, where are they leading these people? Because a lot of the stuff I agree with, but the tact is just not there. It's like, that's the energy of it. Like me, I'm more like, yeah, I believe this. I'll stand up for what I believe in. I'm strong. I'm not weak. But I'm like tactical, where I'm like a Thomas Massie in the sense I read stuff. I'm not going to just agree with people just because they make me. Like, I'm not going to get bullied into something. So that's how I'm seeing all this stuff. And I see these pages as just like, just throwing the Trump base here. And like, people don't even know what they believe anymore. In the sense of, I had a debate today and I was trying to explain to people, I understand that you don't think that everything's fair, but clearly you think it's fair enough to actually support Trump. If you thought the election was 100% rigged, you wouldn't argue with me over Trump and DeSantis. The real people who think the elections are 100% rigged, they're not talking about Trump and DeSantis because they don't believe in it, which is fine. But you do believe in it to some extent, where you think Trump can win. So all I'm saying is, if he beats DeSantis in the primary, I was telling these people, you got to think about how to reach out to other people. I'm not saying pander, but you have to understand that not everyone does agree with you, and that it's a nice way to, like, it's smart to, like, try to figure out how to get people on your side. And these people don't even know that anymore. They're so programmed. You don't understand. We won all 50 states. Shut up. You don't understand us. I don't. It's like, you can talk to people who agree with you all day. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, these people are so brainwashed by Donald Trump that they think that everything is so self-centered about them. It's like, I don't have to do anything because I'm right and everyone likes us and everyone's going to agree with us. So how dare you even say that we have to win the election, because we're going to win the election because we just win elections. That's just what we do. And it's like, what? Well, someone on Trump's campaign is going to have to reach out to people, et cetera. It's like, you don't even think, you're so self-centered that you don't even think you have to, like, appeal to people. You think they should just gravitate towards Trump because you're obsessed with them, so they should be obsessed with them. Even if I was obsessed with them, I would understand not everyone's obsessed with them. So our job as a campaign, or our job as a team, is to get people to like him and want to vote for him more than Biden. But so many people don't understand it. People are saying it's not fair. It's just the truth. They are literally so self-centered. Not everybody, but a lot of people, where it's like, it's just like crazy. So I'm wondering, like, where is this leading? Where is this leading, that people are so jacked up that they can't tell the truth about this? They can't tell the truth about this. They can't see this. And they'll believe whatever someone tells them as soon as they say Traitor, Rhino, or run this way. To me, it's like a matador just throwing people off a cliff. Like, okay, MAGA, run there now. Now run there. Now run there. People are, oh, he's a traitor. He's a traitor. It's like, so Thomas Massie's a traitor for voting with the Constitution, but everyone else isn't a traitor for what they did do in 2020 when Thomas Massie was against it. No, they're not a traitor for signing the CARES Act. They're not a traitor for signing Operation Warp Speed. They're not a traitor for extending 15 days to slow the spread. Trump's not a traitor for taking a meeting with Bill Gates and then doing what he said in 2019. Trump's not a traitor for taking $1 million from Pfizer and hiring a pharmacy lobbyist. Trump's not a traitor for hiring Mitch McConnell's wife. Trump's not a traitor for hiring Bill Barr and then crying about it. Trump's not a traitor for listening to Chris Christie and hiring his FBI director based on what Chris Christie said. None of that's traitor, but Thomas Massie's a traitor for one vote because you brainwashed your audience and you're now trying to weaponize them against the only good people in Congress. This is a dark movement, folks. It's really dark stuff going on. And honestly, I don't want to be part of this at all. If they kick Thomas Massie out of the party, I'll unregister tomorrow. He's not going to get kicked out because most people are not going to fall for it over a period of time, but people will fall for it emotional, and then they'll be yelling at someone else next week, and then they'll be yelling at someone else. They're just aimlessly yelling at whoever the influencers tell them to, aimlessly freaking out about whatever Trump tells you to. It's a mess. This movement's a total mess. And it's just sad to me. I've told people for years, whether you agree with everything or not, when Thomas Massie votes on something, he will tell you why he does it. He will explain it. No one else does that. Everybody else is just, I'll vote this way or I'll do this. There's some good people in Congress, but every time he explains, I don't believe this. Like, I'm not going to vote on something that breaks the Constitution. It doesn't make sense. And I'm just asking for a little bit of consistency because it's really starting to tick me off. I'm like, I'm not even trying to argue with people every day, but I'm like, really? This is what you're going to do? Weaponize your movement against this guy for doing 1/1000th of what Trump did, but you're never going to hold Trump accountable for what he did because you hang out with him and benefit from him, but you're the good person and everyone else is the rhino? You're the good guy and everyone else is the traitor? No? The people who sold us out the last 3 years, they're not traitors. When DeSantis does something, he's an irredeemable rhino, but when Trump does it times 40, he just made a mistake. Well, why didn't DeSantis just make a mistake? I had a debate, and I'll let you guys see it in full because the guy was super great. But it was one of those things. I explained that Trump took a meeting with Bill Gates in 2018, and in 2019, he signed through executive order exactly what Bill Gates told him. I mean, you could look at the report from 2018. Bill Gates was like, yeah, I just told Trump to do this universal flu vaccine thing, and he offered me a position. And then in 2019, that universal flu vaccine rhetoric that Bill Gates was talking about literally got passed through. So I have the evidence that Trump basically took what Bill Gates told him to and passed it through executive order. Oh, but that's not a trade. But anyway, long story short, I was in a debate and I said to the guy that liked Trump, he was a super nice guy. You can watch it. I'll post it after this. But anyway, I go, if DeSantis did that, because he was like, oh, even if Trump did sell out to Bill Gates, or even if Trump did do what Bill Gates said, that he didn't mean to do it. He probably meant the best when he did that. And I asked him, I just said, hey, would you give that same compassion and thoughtfulness to DeSantis? Like, if DeSantis took a meeting with Bill Gates and passed something that Bill Gates told him to, would you sit there and say, oh, DeSantis has your best interests at heart? And he said, no. He said, I wouldn't. So how is that not double standards? I know people get mad at me and Thomas Massie because we actually believe what we say. If he thinks that's constitutional, it doesn't matter if it's Trump or Biden or Democrats or Republicans or CNN or Fox News or Drano or AOC. He's not going to cave because he actually believes what he says. What does it say about somebody that would say, if he listens to Bill Gates and does what he says, that's not corruption, he's doing his best. But when DeSantis does this, he's a traitor, he's a rhino, he's a swamper, and he's irredeemable. But when Trump does something that's 50 times worse, it just really doesn't matter because we're a big movement of phonies now. All we're going to do is brainwash our audience, sell them a bunch of stuff, piss them off, rile them up, and then throw them at the only good congressman once a year who actually does something. And just like he was right in 2020, he's right now. It probably wouldn't have even held up in court, but in general, it's just not a president I would do if I was in Congress. If I read the full Constitution and I believe the Constitution and I put my hand on a Bible and swore to stand up for this country, I'd understand that some things I did were very unpopular. They're going to call you a racist. They're going to call you a sexist. They're going to call you an anti-Semite. They're going to call you, you're a traitor. You're a rhino. They'll name every name in the sun, but Thomas Massie doesn't care. Someone said you're a jackass. I mean, you're the exact type of person that's so emotional and angry that you're going to keep getting exploited by these Republicans. That's fine if that's what you want to do. Someone said, he re-signed the Patriot Act. Well, that's the sort of thing that if Trump does that, no one cares. If DeSantis did it, they'd all be freaking out. And it's like, just have a little bit of consistency. If you actually care about that, then care about it, but just be fair about it. This is now a movement of phonies, hypocrites, opportunists, people that are weaponizing their base against good people, people that are willing to basically say and do whatever to defend Trump, have absolutely no shame about it. And if you ever tell the truth against it, then you're the bad guy. They've successfully brainwashed people. Like, it's so bad at this point that Trump can parrot CNN COVID propaganda, which he's been doing, being like, oh, Florida killed so many people with the deaths. And, these are talking points that he doesn't believe. I don't believe. No one believes. No one would have said it. He doesn't believe it, but he says it, right? And now if I counter it, people will call me a traitor and me a rhino, even though Trump is literally copy and pasting CNN COVID Democrat propaganda from years ago, the same rhetoric they were doing, but it's not his fault. You must agree with the lie. And if you don't agree with the lie and you have the same brain you had 2 weeks ago, you'll have a bunch of these people calling you traitors and rhinos. And, these words are now like, don't mean anything anymore. If you call a rhino a Republican in name only, and you call that to somebody who is a phony or whatever and doesn't stand up for what you believe, you have to actually do it equally. But let me see what you guys think. I'm going to read a few comments. Do you think it's a good idea to break the Constitution to fine Adam Schiff because he's so bad that, the Constitution doesn't matter anymore and it's good to fine him money instead of just doing like a normal thing? Or do you think that's a bad idea like Thomas Massie? And either way, do you see me, even though they broke the Constitution, do you see me calling them traitors, pieces of garbage? Like, dude, this is some evil stuff, man. This is some dark, evil stuff. It's like, I don't think Anna Paulina Luna is a traitor or a rhino. I've met her. She's very nice. I disagree with her slightly on that, like Thomas Massie, but she's not a traitor and she's not a rhino, and she's, I think, going to do a better job. I think Anna Paulina will be in the top 10%, 20% of Congress. Like, I think she's one of the better ones. Do I think she'll vote as good as Thomas Massie? For me, probably not, but she'll do better than a lot of the old Republicans, in her voting record. And that's cool. But that's, some people will like her voting record better. Some people are like Thomas, but disagree with him, say you think he's wrong, calling him a traitor, telling people to kick him out of the party. I mean, this is gross stuff, but it's not new. They did it to him in 2020. They tried to kick him out. And the funniest thing, I could show you the printout. In 2020, Trump said, kick Thomas Massie out of the Republican Party. In 2022, after he unsuccessfully got him primaried, he endorsed Thomas Massie. And here's the funniest thing about Trump. He counted that endorsement as one of his endorsements. You know how he says, I always endorse winners. Here's my voting record. I'm 102. He tried to kick this guy out of the party. It didn't work. And when it didn't work, Trump endorsed him and then counted that as one of his wins, as if he didn't just try to kick him out. Dude, it's some diabolical stuff. I mean, it's kind of funny, but whatever. Lonnie said, I'm beginning to think someone bought you off. You think I'm bought off because I don't take money? Like, if I say Trump took $1 million from Pfizer, I bet you think someone paid me to do that, right? Like, Trump took hundreds of millions of dollars from corporations. He took mega donor money from Sheldon Adelson. Ron DeSantis takes donor money from Ken Griffin. I don't take donor money. Do you think I'm sold out because I have the ability to call out Trump and DeSantis and just say the truth? Like, who do you think's paying me to tell you this? Like, they're not sold out when they literally sell out, but Anomaly sold out because he's willing to objectively talk about the Constitution and how politics works. Dude, people are so caught up in idol worship. Like, even the Trump versus DeSantis thing, the whole thing's a false paradigm. The truth is, and I said this in my debate today, DeSantis is taking donor money. That will probably shift his decisions. Trump took a lot of donor money. It did shift his decisions. Is that controversial now? This is why our movement is as fake as the left now, folks. When you tell the left, oh, donors and politics control things, they used to say, yeah. Now they're marching with Lockheed Martin. Now they're like, oh, wow, I love big pharma. The left has lost their minds over idol worship and really over just hating the right too much. The right hates the left so much and they love Trump so much that they've become hypocrites. People don't like my channel anymore because I'm exposing the Republican Party for being fake. You've become everything you've hated. You've become the left. You've become hypocrites. You have double standards. You mean nothing that you say. And I'm just proof of it. I don't think DeSantis isn't going to sell out when he took the donor money. He already has sold out in some ways, and he's going to sell out more because that's how politics work. But here's the scary part that people think someone paid me to say. Trump does all that stuff too, but he has your brain scrambled and he controls you. Just like somebody goes to the strip club, gets a big booty on him and says, oh, the stripper loves me. She don't love you, boo. She likes your money. She likes your wallet. The stripper doesn't like you, okay? And neither does the politician. Oh no, but Trump really loves me. Yeah, there's a better chance of you finding your faithful wife in a strip club than there is of Donald Trump not doing this stuff. He's so different. He's not. He takes donor monies. He hires rhinos. He hires the swamp, but that bothers you. I'm supposed to be one of these phonies like these other influencers that say, only DeSantis does that, but Trump doesn't do it, or he does do it, and I'll make excuses for it. But Thomas Massie's the bad guy because he doesn't do that. Get mad at Thomas Massie for having a spine and a soul because I work for a guy that doesn't have one. And yeah, you'll fight over Trump and DeSantis and bash your heads against the wall and be like, well, DeSantis never did that, or Trump never did that. It's all fake, guys. It's just a mind warp for conservatives to bash their heads against each other. Nobody's even being honest. Like, people are so fake, even on the DeSantis side. I'll give you an example. DeSantis's team, DeSantis War Room or whatever, I don't know who controls it, but someone on the DeSantis camp, they posted a clip of Trump and Fauci, which is fine, but they did an AI, like a fake Trump kissing Fauci in it. Here's the truth. Trump does have relation with Fauci, but you don't need to use an AI image. So the proper response from the DeSantis camp would have been, we messed up. We made a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. Trump has also done it, but we shouldn't have done it, and we'll take it down. But we're not the only ones doing it, but we understand that that's wrong, and we're going to take it down. Instead, the DeSantis camp is like not deleting it. So it's like they don't even care that they're doing something unethical because they just want to beat Trump so bad. So now they're becoming phonies too. And the Trump side, it's the same thing. They just want to bite your head off if you have something to say. And they've been brainwashed. It's like establishment, rhino, establishment, rhino. It's like, your guy? No. Well, he has Jeb Bush. And it's like, okay, well, what about Lindsey Graham? Well, yeah, and it's different with that. Why is it different? Because you're a hypocrite? Because you have double standards? It's not different. You just are obsessed with that guy. And it's like this unhealthy, Beyonce relationship that you have where you're just not ready to leave the Bayhive or whatever they call it. Someone said, don't let the haters in. The thing is this, if anything, I'll ride off into the sunset with everything I've earned and just, find a new career, which I don't want to do. I like what I do, but I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to be bullied. I'm not going to be pressured. If anything, I'm just going to find something else because this is such a fake, dark movement now. The MAGA movement is not a great, amazing movement anymore. These people are lying. These people are weaponizing their base against the good guys. These guys refuse to call out their guy. It's just fake, man. And it's exposing Republicans for really believing nothing that they say and, being willing to stab each other in the back over nothing, over something so it's not like Thomas Massie saying, oh, Adam Schiff's so great. He's not saying that. He doesn't like Adam Schiff. He just wants to follow the Constitution. So now that Anna Paulina fixes it, they're going to sign it and it's going to work and it's probably going to do nothing anyway, like everything the Republicans do. And all this outrage that everybody had yesterday, they're not going to remember because the same people are going to manipulate you in 2 weeks to be mad at something else. You're going to be mad at this and mad at that. And, they'll just keep using you. It's like, that's fine. There'll be some wins. There'll be some losses, but this isn't going to be a moment that people even remember. And if they do remember it, they're not even going to remember it accurately. They're going to remember it as like, he was a traitor. Now, Thomas Massie is the only not traitor in the Republican Party. He's the only one who tried to save our party from the CARES Act, from the lockdowns, from the Congress not even showing up to vote and hiding their voting record, like really dark stuff. He was the only one. He's the only one in Congress who actually follows the Constitution. He's the only real politician that he's a professional politician. He knows everything. He follows the rules. He understands how it works. He has ethics. He votes even, they call him an anti-Semite because he's the only one who votes against aid for Israel. He's the only one who votes sometimes against speech laws and all these little hate speech stuff. So they act like Thomas Massie's the biggest anti-Semite in the world. And he's not. He just has principles. He's like, I don't believe in foreign aid. But most of the Republican Party is influenced by that lobby. So they all vote for it. And then they BS. Name one thing I said that's BS. You can't. You're just mad I broke your little echo chamber. Cry about it. But whatever. I don't care. So I have two options with my life and my career. Either I'll keep doing this and never back down and never get bullied by these people, or just leave because it's a fake movement. And I've learned in the last couple of years that although there's a lot of great people And a lot of amazing people that want the truth and want to be woken up, a lot of conservatives just want to be scammed. You know, a lot of Trump supporters, they don't want the truth. They just want to be scammed. It's the same way I was talking about. And that's why I brought up that story at the beginning. When my friend came to me and she said, hey, I have this really cool job. This is going to be amazing. It hurts me to tell her that this doesn't seem real because I know enough to know that it's not real. But if I say that, I seem like a hater. It's like, oh, you just don't want me to be happy. It's like, no, you're going to come back in a year and be like, oh, that really was fake. How'd you know? Because you can't just like close your eyes and just run it because you want something. Like, that's not how it really works. And it, you know, it's not like I would ever quit or give up, but it's like I would love to do something else at this point. Because why, you know, it's like if you can't lead a horse, whatever the horse watered, make it drink, whatever that stupid quote is. It's like people want to get scammed by Donald Trump. They want to get scammed by the Republican Party. They want to get scammed by Republican influencers. They want to be angry. They want to be emotional. And that's just what they want to do. They want to be angry, emotional fools, know nothing, and just yell at the left and act like only the left does that when they're literally doing that. And they'd rather do that than somebody tell them the truth and wake them up. They'd rather somebody scam them 1,000 times and usher in communism than they would have Thomas Massie stand up for the Constitution. If that's what this movement is, it's a dark, evil, fake movement of people that just want to get scammed on loop. So it's just like, I'm over it. I'm not going to fight people forever. Is that really what you want? Then I could treat this movement like the left-wing movement and just be like, that's what they want. They want to wear masks. They want to, you know what I'm saying, wear rainbow flags and dance with Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. They want to, like, you know, I don't know, be weird. And it's just like, just do that over there. I'm not interested. Maybe that's what this movement is. I don't know. The next year will really tell. But if that's the route that people choose, and it's like, we don't want the truth. We want the scam. We want it. Shut up. You're a traitor. How many Trump sweaters are you going to buy before you realize that he locked you up and not the swamp? You know, 15 days to slow the spread was you getting locked up, not Hillary Clinton. No, everyone's a traitor. The only guy that's not a traitor is a traitor now because one account told you on Twitter and started screaming at him hysterically. It's so gross. Someone said, I like wearing masks. Why? No, you don't. Do you really? I like wearing masks. I like this. This feels good. I mean, I love this. This is so nice. Dude, this feels better. This feels better than like just regular. I like this, you know. I like wearing books on my head. It's just, you know, it's more comfortable than just walking normally. I mean, you got to balance and it's a little difficult, but you know, this is who I am now. I just, you know, because if COVID's going to go around you, it hits the top of the book and then it pops off. It's just a more comfortable way to live your life. I'm just saying. It helps work against facial recognition. That's cool. I guess so. You could just hide your face forever. I feel like that's a little counterproductive though. Like, hide your face forever so they never scan your face. They probably have all our faces, but it's all good. Someone said, now it makes sense why Trump didn't get rid of Fauci. I got to run in a second, but if people want to listen, there's something that no one's saying that I don't want to be repetitive on, but I want to explain. Fauci is the head. Just listen to me real quick if you can. Fauci's the head of the NIAID. That's what he was the head of. Okay. That's not even the highest thing. Okay. Above NIAID is NIH. Okay. NIAID is in the National Institute of Health. Above the National Institute of Health is HHS. Trump might not have the power to fire Fauci, but Trump didn't have to put him on the television. But here's the big scam that accounts won't tell you for some reason. Trump hired a pharmacy executive lobbyist from Eli Lilly to run the HHS, which is 2 departments above Fauci. And he stayed for 4 years and he set you up from 2016 to 2020. And then he set you up some more and he doesn't give a shit. So what I'm trying to figure out, and this is the inconsistency. How is that not being a traitor when you take money from Big Pharma, you hire pharma lobbyists above Fauci, and you let them walk all over your base for 4 years? How is that not being a traitor, but voting constitutionally one time when a fake person has a fit on Twitter, that's traitor. That needs to get kicked out. Is that really the movement we're a part of right now, folks? Is that what people want? I don't want that. That's an evil, dark, disgusting movement. If that's what people are, just follow accounts and freak out and yell and get exploited and lie and have double standards and go after people that are 20 times the person that's telling you to go after him. It's disgusting. So I'm not saying you got to hate Trump for everything he did, but if you literally lick the dirt off Trump's shoes before you told the truth about him, and then you're calling better people than you traitors and rhinos and warhawks, you are the rhino now. You are the establishment. It's like, this is a professional career for people now. They just ride Trump's coattails and they act like they're better than everyone else. It's like, everyone else is rhinos. If you don't agree with me, these people don't know what they believe. I could literally, if I were Trump, I could tell them, yo, the sky's red. And they'll be like, the sky's red. Screw you if you think it's blue, you rhino. And then Trump's like, actually, the sky looks a little black today. And it's not black. I'm like, hey, the sky's actually a little white today. And people are like, it's black, you freaking rhino. That's the new movement now. It's like literally just grovel at Trump's feet, say whatever he says is the truth, even if it's not, make excuses for anything he does wrong, have double standards for anybody else who does what Trump already did and treat them like shit, but not call him out. Like, it's so fake. He could literally do anything. And now these people think because they use these words that they're not that. Like, everyone else besides me is establishment and rhino because I wear MAGA hats and coattail ride Trump and exploit his base. It's like, you get what I'm saying? Is like, that's going to be the next 8 years of conservative movement. Like, do you have a thought? Do you have a thought process behind it? No, I just yell and get mad at Thomas Massie. That's the movement now. Yeah. There's no real conversation. No. Okay. Someone said, so who's the good guy? Apparently no one ever listens to me because they ask me every single time. Apparently this is like, is anyone here? Is this the Truman Show? Hold on. I got to just check out real quick. Hold on. Ding, 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 ding. Is anyone in here? Ding, 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 ding. Am I talking to my ding, 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 ding? All right. Is anyone here? Because I feel like I say this like every day and everyone always asks all the time. The solution is you. If you just tell the truth, then the truth happens. It's really simple. It's like if everyone wasn't acting like children, the Republican Party would fix itself out, but everyone's acting like children. DeSantis people are acting like children. Trump people are acting like children. And here's the uncomfortable truth that people don't want to hear. You don't deserve anything. I don't just deserve stuff. I work for it. I earn it. And if I lose it, it's my fault. That's how life is. Like, everyone's like, I want this. I want that. Why? Because you just sit there and look at Trump and yell at DeSantis people. You want things. Who cares what you want? Wow, all these Republicans want so much. Well, are you ready to earn it? No, I'm just going to be a hypocrite and yell at the left. It's like, well, then you're not going to get anything. You know, like, everyone wants freedom, wants liberty, but they can't even say they want it when someone takes it away that they like. Well, I mean, maybe he did it for this. So you're making excuses for things you don't believe. Yes. Then why do you deserve it? Because I just do. No, you don't. Like, this movement doesn't deserve anything if it can't act right. If you believe all these things, but you don't believe them now or don't want to talk about them when Trump does it, then you don't deserve it. You know, if you're going to shit on the only good congressman, but you're not even going to tell the truth that he was the only one who really stood up against the huge agenda that destroyed 2020, then you don't really want anything. These people want Mar-a-Lago steaks. They want money. They want fame. They want to be the cool kid. They want to be the new tyrant. They want to be the new rhino. They don't want freedom or labor. Like, they don't want things. They just want to just be the, you know, so like, how do we get it? By just being honest. Like, it's so simple. Like, they just manipulate us and we run in circles, and the right will convince you it's because of the left, and the left will convince you it's because of the right. And then people are like, no, you don't understand, Emily. It's the left. It's the left doing this to my children. It's like Ted Cruz is more concerned with sodomy in Uganda than he is about the border wall. Like, it's not, you're not getting these things, dude. And it's not just because the left is doing it. It's because the right is fake opposition. They're not really doing anything. So yeah, the left is going too far. And to be honest, the pendulum's swinging back because the left is going too far. Honestly, most things that the Republican Party is doing is not even helping. I mean, I think DeSantis is doing a good job. There's a few leaders that are really like stepping up in certain states quietly. But for the most part, the left's going too far, the pendulum or swing. How do we get results? Not by idol worshiping these people. It's just so, it's like, do I have to say this every day? People are like, I'm bored of you repeating yourself. I'm bored of me repeating myself. I'm bored. I want to do something else. I need to do something else. People are, well, what do we do? If it's not just bashing our head against the wall, yelling at DeSantis and Trump supporters, if it's not just believing whatever Trump says and calling everyone else a rhino, if it's not just yelling at Thomas Massie once a week when someone tells us to, how are we going to beat the deep state if we just don't? It's like, just what's the truth? Ask yourself that. I don't know. What, like, about what? It's like, if you believe this, but you don't believe it when this guy does it, and you're going to fight these people, it's just like a show. You're just being used. Find me 10 Republicans that will tell the truth about what happened in 2020. I don't know very many. I mean, maybe like RFK does a decent job. He's not even a Republican. I don't know. They won't. Someone said Ted Cruz had this. Yeah, sure he did. What do? We endorse Mitch and Mitt Romney? No, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm starting to think that it's just like people like the scam, and I'm like ruining the show. I feel bad because it's like I'm coming in an episode of the Kardashians, and I'm like, yo, I already seen this episode. It's fake. And they're like, no, it's not. Like, I feel like I'm ruining the show. Like, it's like a WWE show, and I'm ruining it for people. So what do we do? I mean, what do we do if we don't, like, how in the world do you think you're ever going to get results when people are just like idolatry level obsessed with a guy? And when he does 1,000 things that they don't agree with, they make excuses for it. But when DeSantis does 10 things like that, they freak out and have double standards, or follow a bunch of accounts that won't criticize the guy who did more communism and socialism than any Republican's ever done in modern history, and shamelessly runs around the country selling vaccines, literally listened to Bill Gates and passed the stuff. But you're fighting Bill Gates, right? With the guy who literally has meetings with Bill Gates, right? But I'm the bad guy. I think I ruin the show. It's like, you want to just no. That's how we win. We win by just keep lying to ourselves. If we just keep lying to ourselves and bashing our heads on the wall and blaming the left and buying Trump merch and doing this, then it's going to fix it. It's like, I don't see it that way. I think the party solution is simple, but it's not. I'm realistic with myself. It's probably not going to fully happen at this point. Like, it's going to have to get weirder and worse before it gets better. And I'm not being pessimistic, but it's like, people don't want to know until it's got to go further. It's not time for some people. Some people get it, some people don't. I don't really know what to do. I'm looking at the whole DeSantis and Trump thing, and I'm like, dude, everybody's so fake. Like, can you like DeSantis and then also tell the truth about what you believe, like a Thomas Massie? Can you like Trump but still tell the truth about it? Some people can do that, but a lot of people are getting sucked into this stuff. And I'll tell you, even a Red Eagle Patriot, I had a great conversation. He's a great kid, a great person, great energy. I think talking to me was a good thing because we kind of clashed ideas a little bit, etc. And I feel like, it's easy for him or other people to get sucked into the Trump also. And I know he's a good kid, and we had a great conversation, and he was willing to challenge his ideas, and he knows what he's talking about. He's a great guy. It was a great chat. But it's like, if you're only fighting the DeSimps all the time, or you're the DeSimp fighting the Trump guy all the time, like, people are getting sucked into this world, and they want all these things. We want results. We want freedom. You got to act like an adult, though. You can vote for someone. You could support someone. But if you're not being honest, you don't deserve honest results. If you're a Trump guy, but you can't even admit the truth about what he did from 2016 to 2020, you're not even willing to admit the cons, and you're not willing to address it, you don't deserve anything. But the thing is, a lot of these influencers, they're getting a lot of money off of their Trump coattail riding. So whether they get results or not, they're getting results. They don't, you think you're going to get results in 3 years from that, but they're getting results every day and every month from what they're doing. So there's a lot of incentive for them to do that. That's fine. That happens on the DeSantis side too, to some people. But the truth is, it's like, the reason that they're not that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, they think they're doing the right thing, but really they also know that they're capitalizing off what they're doing. So if they do this for 2 years and then they realize that it's not true, they've already capitalized off it. So in their personal life, it was a win anyway. It's like, well, I did my best and I got what I could, and then I moved on. But they're not like, it's not a real thought process of like, is this really gonna work? Like, how is this gonna work? I just don't understand. And I think that there's always a chance that something could work, but I don't understand psychologically, if this person does all these things and you guys don't really want to address it hardcore and make sure they don't do it again, I'm just of the nature that they're probably going to do it again. Or if this guy can do the same things as DeSantis, but he can get away with it because everyone likes him so much, then it tells me that that guy's going to do it again and get away with it again because that's your thing. You know what I'm saying? Like in the debate today too, which I'll play tomorrow, I asked them, do you think it's possible that Democrats are purposely doing this thing to Trump, knowing it's going to elevate him? And in general, a lot of people in the comments were like, well, no, the Democrats are not that smart. They would never know that would elevate him. And I'm not saying they're doing that this time, but in general, they did it last time. So they have done it before. The evidence is there that Democrats have done the Pied Piper strategy. It's not my opinion. It's been published. So if you think Democrats are too stupid to ever elevate a candidate purposely, you're the stupid one. And I'm not saying you're stupid, but they've done it. It's proven. So you think they've never done it? You get what I'm saying? It's like, that's the type of stuff where I feel like people just don't think about it. Like, people are easy to manipulate. If you do this, you think the Democrats didn't know Trump was going to get tens of millions of dollars of fundraising? You don't think the Democrats know it was going to shift him 40 points in the poll? You think that they arrested Trump in New York and it's not going to do anything? And this one, it seemed even odder than that one as far as what they did when he got it. You think they did that and had no idea he was going to fundraise money? You think they did that and had no idea he was going to go up in the polls? No, they're that stupid. They have no idea. They just thought this would. Maybe it's a possibility. Maybe they have no idea. Or maybe they do know because everybody's so easy to trick. If you put a rainbow flag on a Lockheed Martin rally, they're going to fall for it. And if you put a bald eagle and an American flag on a Lockheed rally, now it's patriotism. So, there's things that the left is very foolish and naive with, but also the right is also easy to trick. And I'm not saying this to be rude and mean, but it's more self-reflective. I look at ways that I've been tricked. I went on Laura Ingraham and I talked about climate change and that narrative. And I explained I got tricked by that. I got tricked by the leftist narrative on environmentalism because I care about the environment. And I know how I did it and I'm not ashamed of it. But the reason I talk about it is not because I hate myself. I don't say it because I want to shame myself for what I used to believe. I don't want to repeat the same mistakes over and over and get tricked like I did. So not only do I talk about it for myself, but I also share it with others because I want them to hear about my experience, and then we could try to prevent that from happening again. With that being said, the Patriot Act is the obvious one. How did they get people to believe the George Bush and the this, and he's got to be the good one, and America, and we got to go start a war and whatever? It was through patriotism. They exploited America's patriotism. And those same people are now waving rainbow flags and spreading things that you don't like all over the world. You get what I'm saying? That's how they got Republicans then. During Trump's era, they got Republicans by making them complacent. I have this here. This was the book I put on my head. It's called New Lies for the Old by Antony Golitsyn. And listen to what's in this book. I've done a whole video on it, but there was a controlled opposition scheme in this book called Operation Trust. And this guy was a communist defector. He said that while the communists were taking over the government and while the communists were taking over the country, they had a controlled opposition scheme called Operation Trust, in which they told patriots and people who actually didn't like communism, they told them that just trust the plan. You don't have to do anything because there's already generals doing it behind the scenes. We have generals that are flipping the communists from behind the scenes. Guys, this book was published. I mean, I could look at the year for you, but let's see. When is this book published? Let's see. 1926, 1984. I guess 1926. Okay. This book was in 1926. So please don't accuse me of being anti-Q or whatever. 1926. This is in the book. It's real. That's how they got people to not stop communism. They told them, trust the plan. Operation Trust. It's fine. Don't believe your own eyes. It's all happening behind the scenes. This same thing is happening now with Trump. And it's not just the Q people. It's the people who idolize Trump who have the same type of mindset with a little bit less dedication behind it. I don't want to believe my own eyes when he hires these people and does these things and extends the lockdown and retweets John Kerry and takes meetings with Bill Gates. I don't want to believe these things because I just trust something other than my own eyes and that. I just trust that the generals are doing something behind the scenes. I mean, literally copy and paste the controlled opposition from this book from the 1920s is the Q stuff. And they're annoying to fight with, so I don't even want to talk about them. But it's like, it's the same thing. All the generals are doing it behind the scenes. Guys, it's the same thing the communists did 100 years ago. So this is how we don't repeat the same mistakes is we learn from our mistakes. I learned from my mistakes. It's okay. We're going to make more mistakes, but we don't have to do the same thing for 50 years. Let's learn from the Patriot Act. Let's learn from the communist controlled opposition. It's not even like hard to see how that would work. Obviously, if you have 100 million patriots who say, I'm not locking down my shop, and I'm not saying it was that easy to do at the time because it was confusing, but if 100 million conservatives say, I'm not closing down my shop, I'm not closing down my store, I'm not closing down my school, I'm not listening, none of this stuff works. They're not able to do the socialist Trump checks or the COVID UBI checks and the operation. None of this works if every conservative stands and says, I like Donald Trump, but I don't care what he says. I don't care what Fauci says or Gavin Newsom says. We are going to follow the law, but we're not closing down because that's unconstitutional. That never happens. But when you have Trump in office, and I'm not saying it's his fault, he makes conservatives feel complacent, comfortable. If Hillary Clinton said lock the country down, it's communism, it's tyranny. If Mitt Romney said lock the country down and we're okay with 15 days of slow the spread, it's communism, it's tyranny. If Donald Trump says it, it's a little more believable for a longer amount of time. And, you know, a lot of people will freak out at you. And I use this real quick. I just wrote like little notes there, just in it was like music. I was trying to do the story as I was doing, but this is my tweet, and I'm going to bring this up like the Operation Trust. I said this before lockdowns. They're going to use this to push medical tyranny, mandated vaccines, government mandated lockdowns, authoritarian power grabs, even bigger speech censorship. Life will never be the same, and Trump doesn't have a magic plan to save you till the end of time. I said that before 15 days to slow the spread. And I had heard about this book, and I was kind of trying to warn people. I'm like, Trump doesn't have a magic plan to save you till the end of time. I'm not being mean. I'm just trying to tell you guys, this is it. This is the moment. Don't trust that Trump has a plan because they're going to bamboozle us. And all the people that were pushing the Q stuff were saying, oh, this is to lock the Vatican, arrest the Vatican, Chrissy Teigen. And they made millions of Trump supporters complacent with this idea that Trump had a secret plan that they couldn't see. It's the same communist controlled opposition scheme from the 1900s. It's the same exact one. Tell the conservatives and the patriots and the freedom fighters and the strong men and women that there's a secret plan that they have to trust, that they can't see, that the military generals are behind the scenes doing it. It worked then, and it's working now. And a lot of people are offshoots. Like someone like Drano, he's not QQQ, but he's got people in that same mindset where it's like, don't believe your own eyes, don't believe your own ears. Trump's your guy. Trust Trump. You know, when Thomas Massie makes a mistake or a perceived mistake, we got to kick him out of Congress. When Trump makes 1,000 times as many mistakes as Thomas Massie, that's just my guy. That's who I'm riding with. That's who I hang out with. I fly. That's my guy. I don't have those same convictions with my guy. But I'm going to call Thomas Massie a coward. But I'm not going to call out my guy because I trust my guy, and his mistakes are little magic, Bob Ross trees. But DeSantis's mistakes are problems, and even you're better. It's like even a DeSantis truth is worse than a Trump lie. A Trump's lie is better than a DeSantis truth. It's like these are the games that people are playing, and that's not the solution. And that's all I'm trying to tell to people is like that's not a solution. A solution is not to trust Donald Trump and that's the opposite of a solution. That's exactly what the other side wants you to do, so you never solve anything. And the funny thing is, if you look at the evidence of all this stuff, and I'm not saying these people are necessarily bad or know what they're doing, I have no idea. But if you look at, say, like the Bud Light boycott, right? The Bud Light boycott. Who tried to stop the Bud Light boycott? Don Jr. What was the Bud Light and Caitlyn Jenner? What was the Bud Light boycott? It was conservatives having a culture battle saying, we don't care how much money you make. we believe that you're going too far, and we want to send a message not just to you, but to the rest of the country. And Don Jr. and Caitlyn Jenner came out and said, yeah, Budweiser did that stuff, but they donate to Republicans. And, we should lay off them a little bit because they donate to us. And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying the base did that on their own, and it was their leaders that were trying to pull them back off of it. And I'm not saying that makes them bad people, but I haven't been a part of this movement for years because it's like aimlessly led by Trump a lot of times, and he's running people in circles. And I'm like, when people stop running in circles around this guy and just do what their heart and soul tells them to, they're led by God. They're led by the truth. They're led by their conviction. They're led by their brain, their soul, their community, their family. Like this will lead conservatives in the right direction. If everyone's who they think they are, or they want to be who they say they want to be, then we'll all end up in the same place eventually. We don't need a leader selling vaccines and hiring the deep state. Like that's not the leader of our movement. In fact, they're always trying to stop us when we're doing something that actually is semi-productive. Like, how is that? Like, if COVID was if the COVID lockdowns were the biggest scam of the century and Donald Trump was a part of it, he's not going to want the truth to be revealed about it. If you really believe that the vaccines are as bad as people are saying they are, or whatever, or the side effects that they're covering up and all this stuff, and he's the father of them, how are we going to get accountability? We're not. He's like a figurehead that's blocking people from doing anything. And I'm not saying he's a horrible, terrible person or whatever, but it's just like this whole thing is so fake now. And it's the same exact scheme. I want to see if I have it highlighted because I want to read word for word Operation Trust. I can find it in the index. If you don't believe it, this book was written in the 1900s. And I want to read exactly the quotes from it because it's very interesting. Hold on. Since I'm doing a long live stream, I might as well. Let's see. Trust, Operation Trust. And then people were like, oh, you someone paid you to say that. Yes, someone paid me to read a book from 1920 that talked about what the communists did. Sure. I'm wrong. What am I wrong about? I know that isn't true. What's not true? What part of it? This is the conservative movement now. They would rather spend so much energy making excuses for tyranny than they would to stand up against it. Trump has them by the nutsack. If this was Ted Cruz, all these people would be agreeing with me. But because it's Donald Trump, they're playing mental gymnastics to figure out how, no, he wasn't the president in 2020. No, he didn't print the money. No, he didn't say 15 days of slow spread. No. He's got people completely mind controlled. It's insane. If this was Mitt Romney, people would be like, yeah, for sure, screw that guy. He could have done more. But when it's Trump, it's like, no, he could have never. No, he's not the father of the vaccine. I know he says he is, but I don't say he is because it's like, just stop, dude. All right, ready? Let's start. Let's find the. Okay, I'm gonna read a lot here. Let's see where it goes. So. Operation Trust. This is from the book New Lies the Old. I'm just going to read a lot. The Soviet Security Secret Service was reorganized, renamed the OGPU, and given new political tasks. It was directed to mount disinformation and political operations. False opposition movements were set up and controlled secretly by the OGPU. They were designed to attract their ranks genuine opponents of the regime inside and outside the country. These innocent persons could then be used by the regime in various ways. They could act as channels for disinformation, they could be blackmailed, recruited as agents, and they could be arrested and given public trial. A characteristic but not unique example of this technique is provided by the so-called trust operation. In 1921, the NEP was being launched. The OGPU created inside Soviet Union a false anti-Soviet organization, the Monarchist Alliance of Central Russia. It had once been a genuine organization founded by Tsarist generals in Moscow and Leningrad, but liquidated by the Soviet Security Service in 1919-1920. Former members of this organization, among them Tsarist generals and members of the old aristocracy who had come over to the Soviet side, nominally led the movement. Their new loyalty to the Soviet regime was not in doubt, for they had betrayed their former friends in the anti-communist underground. They were Tsarist generals Brusilov and Zachanovsky, the Tsarist military attached Yugoslavia General I don't know how to say his name, it's super Russian, and the Tsarist transport Yakushev. The most active agent in the trust was former intelligence officer of the General Staff, Stars Russia, whose name included opera. I want to go on for a second because just to sum it up, it's a little hard to read. They made a controlled opposition movement that pretended to be a bunch of generals that people trusted that defected or went to the communist side and used them to control the opposition. It gets crazier. Agents of the trust traveled abroad and established confidential contact with genuine anti-communist immigrant leaders in order to coordinate activity against the Soviet regime. Amongst important immigrants they met were Boris Sankovov and Generals Wrangel and Kutsupov. These agents confided in their context that the anti-Soviet monarchist movement that they represented was now well established in Soviet Russia, had penetrated to the higher levels of the army, the security service, and even the government, and would in time take power and restore the monarchy. I want to read this because it's literally someone saying TDS. You're not even listening, dude. It's insane. This is literally what they did. The agents confided in their contacts that the anti-Soviet monarchist movement, the agents confided in their contacts, said that the movement that they represented was now well established in Soviet Russia, had penetrated into the higher levels of the army, the security service, and even the government, and would in time take power and restore the monarchy. They convinced the immigrant leaders that the regime had undergone a radical change. Communism had completely failed. Ideology was dead. The present leaders had nothing in common with the fanatical revolutionaries of the past. They were nationalists at heart, and their regime was soon evolving into a moderate national regime and might soon collapse. The NEP should be seen as the first important concession on the road to restoring capitalism in Russia. Soon, political concessions would follow. Because of this, said the trust agents, any intervention or gesture of hostility from the European powers of the immigrant movement would be ill-advised, if not tragic, since it would only unite the Russian people around their government and so extend its survival. The European governments and immigrant leaders should put a stop to anti-Soviet terrorist activities and change their attitude from hostility towards the Soviet regime to one of a passive acceptance. They should grant diplomatic recognition and increase trade. In this way, they would have a better opportunity to contribute to the evolutionary process. These leaders should return to Russia and make their contribution. Naturally, there were doubters among this. I don't know. That's enough. You guys get it. It's an interesting read, but long story short, that's what they did. They literally went around and controlled anti-communist movements and told them, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to disagree. You don't have to stop doing this. You don't have to stop trade. These are the good guys. They just look bad, but the communists are gone. Behind the scenes, we're doing all this stuff. And they used popular generals to confuse people because they trusted these generals. And they're like, dude, these generals are cleaning up the communists. Just chill out. Do your thing, just cheer it on, do trade with us. And then in time, it'll happen. It's literally the Q thing. It's like copy and paste. It's the same exact thing. It's like, don't disagree with this guy because that's our guy. And even when it doesn't seem like it, we have to say that that's why. Someone said that that's not Trump. But it has become that, though. I'm not saying you could think what you want about him. 9 out of 10 MAGA influencers, when I tell them, I don't want to be repetitive, but you can go down what Operation Warp Speed was, all the pharmacy lobbyists Trump hired. It was corrupt. It was socialism. It had nothing to do with saving the world. It had everything to do for big pharma. They didn't rush it for you. They rushed it because they had no liability under the PrEP Act. It was bad. It was evil. When I talk to MAGA influencers, they all say, well, what if the Operation Warp Speed was to save the world from a 5-year lockdown? That's Operation Trust stuff. That's Q stuff. It is Trump. That's the same exact thing. Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe the evidence. Don't believe the truth. Don't believe the facts. Don't believe the logic. Believe this fake, non-existent theory that everyone keeps saying, that the only way to save the world was to give Big Pharma everything they wanted and let them have no liability for side effects, injuries, and deaths. That's the only way to save the world. What? That doesn't make any sense. The only reason people think it makes sense is because they've created a religion around Donald Trump. And you have to wonder how many of these people are just caught in it, and how many of these people are actively doing it. It's like, I don't know who's making a mistake, who's getting fooled. It's like the left at a certain point. You just don't know. Someone said Matt Walsh retweeted Anomaly's tweet about glory. Like, Did I read that right? I mean, I don't know. I don't mean to get off topic, but let me see. He said that, was I wrong or no? Hold on. If Matt he said, Matt Walsh said, breaking, we've obtained internal docs from Fox News employees. Fox is celebrating Pride by encouraging employees to read about glory holes. And I said, Fox is telling their employees to read about glory holes. And I laughed. What, he retweeted that on Twitter? I mean, I was just making sure I read it right because I didn't want to embarrass myself. I'm like, wait, Fox is telling people about glory holes? And I just like put laugh emojis. Anyway, someone said move on. I don't want to move on though, Helen, because this is the reason you want me to move on so much is probably because you don't want to hear this. And it's the most important thing. Our whole movement's fake. Is it fake because people are so emotional and angry? Or is it fake because a few bad actors are manipulating people to just trust the plan? When it comes to DeSantis, don't trust the plan. There is no trust. If DeSantis does it, he's a rhino. If DeSantis does it, he's a war hawk. There's no trust. Don't trust DeSantis. Why would you trust DeSantis? He's a politician. It doesn't matter what he does. The deep state works both sides. But when it's Donald Trump, we trust. We trust this. We trust that. We trust the Operation Warp Speed. It was a secret. We got to make excuses for it. It is that. It's the same controlled opposition, anti-communist thing. It's the same thing. And it's so obvious. I shouldn't even have to explain to you why this doesn't work. If you actually believe something and you demand that Trump or DeSantis does it, you actually will get results because these people, to some extent, are beholden to you when you're the one funding them, when you're the one going to their rallies. There is no Donald Trump without the movement behind him. You're part of it. So if you tell him the truth and stand firmly and don't make excuses and don't let him slither away, he'll actually have to fix it. If you only have standards for every other Republican than not him, then he's the perfect person to lead the movement astray. It's easy. It doesn't, you don't even need to like fantasize about how this could possibly be real. It's basic common sense. It's like the left. You put a rainbow flag on a Lockheed Martin rally. Do I have to tell you why that's controlled opposition? They're basically getting gay people to like wars more now and weapons. They're like, I don't know. And I'm not saying everything Lockheed Martin does is good. In many ways, they defend our country. God bless them. But, it's like, yeah, now the banks are gay. If the banks are gay, then I guess we don't need to do Operation whatever it is. What was it? What was the thing they did? The banks? Something like, what's the bank thing? Oh, Occupy Wall Street. There's no more Occupy Wall Street because now the banks are occupied by rainbow flags. So liberals dance with them. That's how they control the left. The right, I don't know. Someone said a lot of people think the vax was good. Well, DJ, a lot of people think that turning your 1-year-old, changing their gender and chopping their genitals off is good. Is that okay with you? Do you want that to happen because the left thinks it's good? But in general, if people just tell the truth about it, it's obvious to see how it was bad. It's not only bad because it was mandated, it was rushed, it was socialist, it was bought, it was funded. And the only way they could pull that off is because Trump put a pharma lobbyist to head HHS who declared the emergency, who laid out the groundwork for the liability shields. Look what happens in countries that don't give Pfizer liability shields. They can't sell their product if you could sue them. Trump and his team helped clear out the way for the liability. It's not good. Even if you love vaccines, there's nothing good about this one. It's not good. It's not good to fund it with socialist money. It's not good to buy it with socialist money. It's not good to warp speed it in 9 months. And it's not good to roll it out to the public, mandated or not, when they don't have liability for side effects and injuries. Nothing about that is good. Nothing. Okay? So if someone thinks it is good, I don't care if they call themselves a Trump supporter or a liberal. It's just not. And we need to write the right narrative by saying this sort of stuff, because this is how they control us too. The left will be like, it was amazing. And the right will be like, no, the mandates were bad, but everything else was good. And Trump didn't mandate it. The left is genius at just controlling the conversation. You're not a threat to the left because nothing ever happens. The left says this, the right says this. Both are fake. One of them's controlled by Trump. The other one's controlled by the left. And you just argue over something and no one even tells the truth about it. This is why people like RFK Jr. say what you want about the guy. You don't have to trust the guy. RFK Jr. tells the truth about this stuff. RFK Jr. knows the truth about the vaccine injury. He says it very articulately. He's not a clown who says, oh, this room's big. Oh, wow, what a big room. Wow, what a big room. This is what a vaccine. He's articulately explaining all the liability shields. He's not like a MAGA cultist who's like, oh, a lot of warp speed, right? Like RFK can tell you for 15 minutes exactly how it works. The revolving door, the liability, the court cases he's won, Monsanto. Not everybody wants to drool over Donald Trump for 15 years. Some people want an intelligent discussion. There's a lot of right-wingers that like RFK Jr. It's not because they trust him so much. It's just because Trump is like a buffoon and he's articulate and can explain for 15 minutes. Trump is like a professional circus clown. Like, oh, Fauci sucks, but I work for him. Bill Barr sucks, but I hired him. The simp, the sanctimonious. Trump's like, ooh, 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 ooh. And people are like, oh, oh. It's like, yeah, that's fun for a while. Yeah, Jeb Bush sucks. The rhino sucks. But at a certain point, people want to hear the truth. Mary says you liberals are all the same. I'm not liberal. I'm just telling you there's some people that don't want to drool over a one-liner pull-string doll vaccine salesman for the next 40 years. They want to hear something intelligent. They want to hear RFK Jr. talk for 20 minutes and say, here's how the vaccine manufacturers work. Here's how many there used to be before Reagan signed the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. Here's how many, maybe you don't care about this, but you know how many vaccines kids are getting now? Do you know how many? It's like, it was this many, this many, this many, this many, this many. When did it start really ramping up? It started ramping up after Big Pharma had no liability for it. And then George Bush passed the PrEP Act, which was used during the emergency by Trump and his pharmacy lobbyist buddies. So these are things people want to hear. They don't want to hear Trump be like, oh, Florida sucks now. And people are like, arr, arr, arr. And it's like, you screw you, liberal. It's like, people don't want to hear that. There's a lot of intelligent people in this country, and they want something real. DeSantis doesn't have charisma, but you listen to him for 5 minutes. He's not like a drooling circus clown. He has articulate ideas to speak about. Trump, at some points he does, but other times like, drill, baby, drill. Like, yeah, drill, dude. Go drill for oil. Maybe you could be the Secretary of State. You could go invade a country, drill for oil, or stop a war. But I can't, this is not a world I want to live in for the next 40 years. I'd rather listen to RFK. I'm going to listen to an RFK Joe Rogan podcast. It's not because I want to vote for him. It's not, but he's actually bringing authenticity, and he tells the truth about Big Pharma. Trump doesn't do that. He doesn't. He never will. He's not that guy. It was that guy. He'll say a few things here or there to try to take RFK's votes and stuff. He'll be like, yeah, I'll hold Big Pharma accountable. But when it comes to articulating exactly how this stuff works, Trump's just not that guy. And instead of being that guy, it's like, it's your fault if you want to listen to someone else. Yeah, of course. Why would I want to listen to? Here, I want to play a clip real quick. I was trying to save it for tomorrow, but I want to play it today because it is relevant to what I just said. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on one second. It might not load and I might just freeze all my stuff, but someone said anomaly is not a lib. Yeah, of course not, but it's fine. Oh, MP4. I guess I can't play it. It's a clip of DeSantis basically saying we need to hold NIH, CDC, and all these other jokers accountable, because if we don't, they're going to do it again. And I shared it to Twitter. I mean, I'll play the audio clip since I can't find the video clip real quick. Let me see. Hold on. Listen to what he says here. And this is the truth. If I don't hear this from Trump, or he has no plans to do this, I have no interest in his clown show. Listen. I don't know if he's going to do it, but I like that talk. I like that rhetoric. He says, if we don't hold Fauci, the NIH, the CDC, all these people accountable, they're going to do it again. It's going to happen again. That's the truth. And with Trump, it's like, has he even once said anything like that? No. So it's going to happen again under him. Why wouldn't it? He doesn't care. He didn't notice. He's proud of it. He sees nothing wrong with it. You couldn't hear it? Sorry. DeSantis basically said, if we don't hold Fauci accountable, the NIH, the CDC, they're going to do it again. This will happen again. That's the truth. Sorry that it didn't play. Look, at someone said it wasn't Trump's fault. He's just kind of slow. Don't you know he's a blonde? Fauci tricked him. Bro, that's literally like it's like, yo, DeSantis didn't do this. DeSantis is a piece of garbage. DeSantis is a garbage. DeSantis is a traitor. DeSantis is a rhino. He's a piece of shit. And you're like, oh, sorry. And then it's like, yo, Trump didn't do it. Oh, is he a rhino? Is he a traitor? No, I make excuse for him now because I slurp Mar-a-Lago steaks like good boy. I think that he just got tricked and fooled. Is that a problem? Is it a problem that he got tricked and fooled? Can we correct it? Well, no, because I just think he will. Why would he? The same way that they'll never change. Big Pharma and CDC and the NIH, they'll never change unless they actually get held accountable. Why would he change? Because I want him to. I want things. That's the Trump movement. I want things and I just want to believe them, but I want them. So I should get them because I want them. I like watching Trump. I like the clown show. I don't care that it didn't happen. I want that. I want it. Okay. Does he bear any accountability whatsoever, like every adult and person in this world? Well, no. I mean, he's a victim. He's an innocent victim. He never did anything wrong. He's persecuted. He's persecuted more than Jesus. I mean, he's Jesus. It's like, what type of, what? Why? Like, no, nothing, none of that. Someone needs to click that meltdown. It's not a meltdown. It's just like a little acting brigade, but, someone said only scumbags put ads on lives. I don't have the capability to even know how that happened, or like, I don't know how YouTube even works. I don't know. Is there a way to not do that? Not put ads on a live? Maybe they put it after an hour. Someone said if he's so slow that he still doesn't realize that these are harming people. He doesn't care though. It's not like he's not slow. He just doesn't care, but he doesn't have to care. He's the leader of a movement that would literally eat poop and say it's chocolate. I'm not saying this to be rude. Like, Trump knows that. No one else is that popular where it's like they could literally do anything and their base won't care. Like, Trump is that guy. Why would he actually change his tune? It's like he doesn't have to. He's the victim. He's leading in the polls by 40 points. So I just, it is what it is. It's at a certain point, it's worth just realizing that that's, I guess, what people want. Like, they want to get scammed and they just want things and they want it really bad. And they think that wanting it is just how you get things. And if they don't get it, it's someone else's fault all the time because they really, really want it. Like, I don't live my life that way. Someone said I didn't see an ad. We know you're joking. Whatever. I've stayed too long, but I've had a good time. I'm going to put up the debate tomorrow, and it was interesting. The guy was very reasonable, very pragmatic. I kind of poked at some of his ideas. He poked at some of mine, and I think it was a good dialogue, as good as you're going to find between Trump and DeSantis. This guy, I have to say, no offense to my other guests, but I feel like Red Eagle Patriot had way more understanding of what he believed than the last debate I had. The last one, I felt like he didn't really know much, or he just like didn't, hadn't really thought about it as much. This guy definitely had a little more thought process behind it, and he definitely knows like why in many ways. There was more oomph to it. I think I was brilliant on Trump tonight, had to be said. Well, it's one of these things that I know it's getting annoying, but in many ways it's not getting annoying, because when someone tells the truth, it's like, oh, finally, I thought I was the only one that saw it. So I get that it's kind of like nice in a way, but I'm having a conflict with myself. If you notice, I'm coming to two conclusions. Like, I'm willing to say what I believe and do what I do and do great work, but should I just stop caring? I don't want to stop caring, but it's like, is this what people want? Like, I'm starting to think that people don't actually care. Like, they don't want results. They don't want success. They just want it. That's how I see a lot of the movement right now. Not everybody, but it's like, if you're 500 pounds and you say you want to be a bodybuilder, Are you willing to work for it? If you're willing to work for it, I believe in you. If you're not willing to work for it, I don't believe in you. Everything I do in my life, I work for. Sports, I work hard. Working out, if I want to be strong, I work for it. If I want to lose weight or gain weight or whatever, I work for everything I do. And I know that's how my life works. And I know that's how everything works. And I know that's how the country works. But to me, the MAGA movement is like a 500-pound person saying, I want all these things. But then when I ask if you're willing to work for it, people say, no, I don't want, I just want it. I just want to sit here and I want it. I want it. I'm mad at Thomas Massie. If you're mad at Thomas Massie, you're going to get the opposite of freedom and liberty. You're telling me you want all these things, but then you're going to listen to a diabolical person that is now weaponizing his movement against the only constitutional person in Congress. If like you, what? You don't really want it. If you're not keen enough and aware enough to not lash out at the only good person in Congress who's 100 times the voter that Trump ever was and will stand up for you 1,000 times more than Trump was, you don't want results. You want to want it. You want to just follow the wrong people the same way the left follows the wrong people. You know, I don't go in their house and tell them not to watch RuPaul Drag Race. I just don't watch it. But, you know, that's on you. If that's what the base wants, I don't want to be around it. I don't want to be near these people the same way I don't want to be around the left wingers like this. You know, and it's okay where it's like, if that's what it is, I'm just over it. Someone said Anomaly got the call. It has nothing to do with that. I don't care. I'll never back down. I'll say what I believe. It's just one of those things that, you know, if you live in San Francisco, how long do you want to stay there? You know what I'm saying? I love San Francisco. I'm not saying this, but do you want to stay there for 5 years, or at a certain point, is it time to move on? A lot of people look at San Francisco and say, hey, I used to like it, but it's time for me to move. It's not what I thought it was. You know, I thought San Francisco was like, you know, all this great stuff, and it's just not. And it's time for me to move. You know, that doesn't make you a quitter. It just means you realize that that's not for you. That's where I'm at right now. I didn't get a call. I'm not going to back down. Obviously, if anybody noticed, I had a massive smear campaign against me, trying to call me anti-Semitic in 1,000 insane ways and people going psychotic. It has nothing to do with getting a call. It's just more like, I don't want to engage, because the more attention you give to it, sometimes the more they like it. It's almost like people want me to hate them so they could say that I hate them, but I don't really hate them. You know, I go tough on conservatives and our movement because I want results. And I think, you know, I like to be tough on myself. So I try to be like, not in a mean way, but like, yo, we got to snap out of this. This is crazy. But when it comes to other things, like people really badly want me to hate entire groups of people, which I don't. So like, it's not that they stop me from saying what I want to say. It's just one of those things that it's like, the more I engage, the more they like it. Like they want the controversy. They want it. It's like, you guys lie. You're lying about all this stuff. I'm just over it. I'm going to ignore it. But when it comes to this sort of stuff, I enjoy what I do a lot. Sometimes I get a little annoyed like anyone else, but it's not like I want to give up or I'm going to cower or I'm going to cave. I just look at it like San Francisco. I wouldn't want to live in San Francisco. I don't hate San Francisco. I just wouldn't want to live there, and I would move because that would be the smart thing to do. Is it the smart thing to do to move on from the MAGA and conservative movement? I think there's a lot of good people there. I think there's a lot of great voters, but it's being falsely framed right now as MAGA versus rhinos, and that's not real. It's not real. There are bad people like Mitt Romney and Lindsey Graham, and Lindsey Graham is backing Donald Trump, and none of these people care. And then there's sneaky people behind DeSantis too. I'm willing to call it all out, but I can't work with people that aren't honest. If this is a fake movement of hypocrisy and double standards and Trump worship and no ideas of their own, just making excuses for what he does, it's like San Francisco to me. It's like, I'm not going to stay and be around a bunch of poop all the time. I'm not saying people are poop, but it's starting to smell like poop. It's like, I'd rather just go somewhere else. And that's where I'm at with this sort of stuff right now. I'm not giving up, but it's like, was I wrong? Is this whole movement fake? Like, you know, there's the last thing I want to do is argue or debate or have disagreements with people that I've met in person. But when I see them bashing Thomas Massie over and over and over, diabolically, over again, telling people to vote him out, China. Yeah, China. Yeah, there's no other country that can. No, just China. But in general, it's like, yeah, you know, that's kind of messed up. Everybody knows Thomas Massie votes constitutionally. Everyone knows that. Doesn't matter if it's foreign aid. Doesn't matter if it's for the Democrats, against the Democrats. He votes with his conscience. He knows why he does it. You don't have to like it. But if this is a movement that's going to try to throw people like that out, this is a messed up, evil movement. I want no part of it. If he's thrown out of the party, I'll unregister. I don't care. I'm registered Republican mostly because I just vote in local elections, and it's easy to do that. I vote in national elections too, but it's like when you're independent, it just gets dicier. You know, they won't let you vote in the primary, blah, blah, blah. So I would unregister tomorrow if I thought I could vote the same, but I'm not sure if I could vote in the Republican primary as an independent. So I stay registered. But it's like, if this is what the movement's going to be, a bunch of fake sycophants over one guy that have no love for anybody who challenges them, because that's what it's become right now. It's become the movement of Trump's right, but if he's wrong, we don't say that he's wrong. You're wrong. You know, if someone passes something that's a little sneaky, you don't call it out. It's a bully movement. They become bullies. They become like, either you're on the train or you're a traitor and a rhino. And that's not true. It's not true. There's a lot of rhino activity going on that side too, but you guys just don't talk about it. So you're no faker you're no realer than a DeSantis influencer. And that, if that's the case, is it time to move on, or is it time to continue? And I'm not saying that I'm going to give up everything. It's just like, I got to find something else to do, because I'm not arguing with these people all the time. The same way I don't argue with the left all the time. I counter what they're saying, but I don't have time to argue in a circle. I just thought we wanted something more. I might have been wrong. I know people want it or whatever, but I just don't see it. I don't see like, I log into Twitter now and I disagree with most of the things I see. And it used to not be that way. I didn't log in like, oh, I disagree with all the people I follow. It wasn't like that. I'm not a contrarian by any means. It's not fun for me. I like friends and social circles too, but it's like so much fakery on this side. You know, I don't know what it is, but I'm like, this is all fake. And like, every time I think it can't get worse, it just gets worse. Like, now we're going to try to weaponize MAGA against Thomas Massie. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene speaking out against it. Even Matt Gaetz doesn't agree with it. Like, why are people doing this? They're acting nuts. People are acting nuts. Someone said Nashville is beautiful until 2008. Yeah. Cities are rough, man. I don't think big cities are going to really work in this country. It's going to have to get worse, and then it's going to get better. And all these conversations that they told you weren't allowed to have are eventually going to be had. I see it as two ways. And this is why free speech in this country is so important, whether it's race, whether it's religion, whether it's gender. It doesn't make you a racist or a hater or whatever if you notice certain patterns, etc. And they're pushing so hard. And this is why in societies in general, I'm not saying that it's complete communism, but the communists always want to shut down talks over this stuff, because as they're doing a bunch of shit, they don't want you to disagree with it. So I feel like with big cities, in my view, the left has gone insane, almost full-blown communist, and the right are liberals. I don't even consider the conservative party like conservatives. Like, they're like liberals. They're like, live what you want to do what you want to do. And that's nice, but it doesn't actually always work. I'm not saying that they should go like authoritarian or anything, but it's like that logic only works as well as the people that live in your city. Like, if everybody's really nice, then yeah, it works. But if you got a city of 5 million people and there's a lot of bad hombres and bad people and people that just don't act right, then that type of Republican liberalism isn't going to work over time. So you're starting to see like San Francisco, dude, people can't stop getting robbed there. The city's just getting robbed. Like, dude, it sucks. Every day I log into Twitter, it's like, yo, I just got robbed. Like, famous people get, yo, San Francisco sucks. There's cool people there, but it's a fallen city. New York, LA, there's a lot of good parts of it, but I just think it's going to get a little worse. And conversations that people didn't want to have they're just going to be had to have, because at a certain point, everyone's going to realize what's going on, and everyone's not going to want to live around that or be around that. So, that's just how I see it. Like, the left doesn't run the city right. They control all the cities, and they're making it worse. And the Republicans are, they're nice people most of the time, and they're just like, live and let live. Like, no, we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. I mean, I think cities are going to get worse, and then eventually, it's going to be like a leader that isn't so fake that comes up and is like, all right, you gotta stop this. I don't think it's crumbling, but it's definitely probably not as safe or something. I don't know. Who knows what's that guy's name? I forget. The mayor of New York. He's a phony, but he's like half in, half out. He's like the guy that they put there to be like a Democrat, but at the same time go a little tougher on crime. Like I see right through that guy's game. Eric Adams, I think his name is, or Mayor Adams. He's like, yo, I'm cool. You know, I'm the mayor. What's up? You know, I'm just like you. He plays the left game. He's like, gay, everything gay, yeah. But then when it comes to like policing and stuff, he's like trying to crack down on it. You know, the left put that guy there, Mayor Adams, as a guy will do whatever they say, basically, like when it comes to their liberal agenda, but we'll go a little bit tougher on policing, but like not piss people off because he's like the cool guy doing it, you know, because even the Democrats know they're not going to admit it to you, but they're like, yeah, dude, this city's falling apart. You know, you got to police a little more. So I feel like Eric, is his name Eric? I don't know. Eric Adams, Mayor Adams. He's like their little puppet where it's like, I'm, you know, liberal and stuff. But then like behind the scenes, like even some Democrats are starting to be like, yo, there's way too many immigrants here and crime or illegal immigrants, you know, like he's even like, yo, there's too many illegals here, you know. It's like, what? Yeah, the illegals are taking all our, you know, public money stuff or whatever it's called. It's a burden on the taxpayer. Wait, a Democrat saying that now? You know, he's their little guy to be like, yeah, it's too much. Like even the Democrats can't run a city like that. So they gotta have like a cool one to be like, yeah, it's different when I do it, but you know, policing's crazy, but we gotta respect the police and you know, everything's gay and stuff. But like at the same time, these immigrants be wild. You know, I see him, he'll be wearing like sunglasses and stuff. Rockstar Eric Adams. But yeah, I mean, they can't sustain at this rate. So they got to do something. I think even in San Francisco, like they'll be on TV, we'll be like, defund the police, you know, and then like behind closed doors, like, yo, can we get a police officer here? I don't feel safe. Like that's just who they are, you know. That's they're like the blue killing, you know, killing people and stuff, and what the hell's up with that? And then like behind closed doors, they're like, dude, there's some real crazy people on the street. Like we need security backup. You know, can you call the San Francisco Police Department, get them down here, escort us to our car because we don't want to get robbed. Like, all right, yeah, now I got to do a Zoom call and tell people how much we hate the police. Like, I think they know what time it is, but it is what it is. I can't argue with people all the time. I don't like doing it. I really don't. I'm like, is this? I don't know. What do you think? You think Trump's going to beat DeSantis? DeSantis is going to beat Trump. If Trump beats DeSantis, do people even want to pick up voters and like get people on our side? Because I feel like the 2017 Trump movement was like, yo, maybe we were a little off, but it was more like, yo, come to this side. Just admit he's not that bad. That was like all you had to do is like admit Trump's not that bad and you can hang out with us. Like just admit he's not like the worst person ever, because everybody thought he was like a demon from hell that came to like destroy liberals or whatever. So if you could convince somebody that Trump wasn't that bad, people just loved it. They were like, holy crap, like this celebrity said Trump wasn't that bad. Everyone would share it. Now, not completely, but I feel like the movement is like so obsessed with them that it doesn't feel that way anymore. It feels like you shouldn't ever call out what he doesn't do like that. Like I don't see the vibes picking up as many people in the general election as it did back then, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will work really well. Maybe I only see that on social media. Do you guys see that too? Because I know there's weird people on both sides, but to me, it feels like the people who like Trump, it's like Trump, screw you, Trump, screw you. If you even disagree with him, you're a liberal, you're establishment, you're a rhino. Who paid you to say that? That's all I get. Maybe it's just me because of what I do, but like, do you guys get that too? Are you able to like tell the truth about what Trump didn't do, or do people like attack you like hyenas also? I just want to read some comments because I don't know if that's exclusively like a me thing that I just deal with, or is your family and people that like Trump, are they like that where you're like, yo, I might vote for DeSantis and like Trump. I don't know. Maybe it's only online and Twitter. I might just be caught in this stupid world. Not at all, someone said. That's good. No. Social media is manipulated. Let's see. People will come out to vote against Trump. He will lose the general. Yeah, I mean, him and Biden is not good, but if that's what people want. Someone said my Donald Trump has mouth to feed. He had to take big pharma money. I'm still banned from Twitter, someone said. They tried, but logic is undeniable. Someone said, yeah, and get pissed instantly if you hit them with facts. You're caught in a stupid world, bro. Warp Speed Trump has a lot of simps. Let me see. Seems like the same tactics from 2016, to be honest. He was calling Rand Paul a loser back then. Yeah, but maybe I'm wrong, but is that what people also did? I don't know. Like, calling Rand Paul a loser is one thing, but like people calling other people losers all the time. I mean, people get them heated. I get it. It's just like one of those things where I'm not even a decided voter yet. I just say if the election were tomorrow, I'd vote for DeSantis. And I explained it in I'll post my interview tomorrow. I'm not going to do a live stream. I explain exactly why I feel that way. With that being said, it's like, you know, do people ever be like, yeah, that's cool, come over here? Or they're like, screw you. You're like, all right. They defend their stance on Trump, but nothing like that. You just get too easily offended and get to go off. You're just too easy to offend and get to go off. Maybe could be true. I don't know. I'm still banned. UN agenda. The base became Trump. That's kind of how I feel. I don't know. Maybe I feel like the people that are influencers with him, they kind of act like him now. Where it's like, yo, you're a coward, you're a traitor, like going hard. And it's like, you know, Trump can kind of pull it off. It's not an easy character to pull off. To do that, you have a lot, you burn a lot of bridges. But at the same time, Trump really does pull it off. Like, he can do all that and just he got away with it for a long time until he didn't. I don't see it as a long-term strategy. Like, you know, it's okay to disagree with people. It's okay to call them stuff. But if your strategy is like call everybody names, you know, make fun of people, have no humility about it, have no like compassion about it, eventually those numbers start building. And it's like, I don't know if it works forever. But when he does it, it just seems kind of natural to who Trump is. Like, it's who he is. It's funny. When other people do it, it just doesn't seem like, it's just like, oh, you just simp, you just sanctimonious. Like, people call me that, and it's like, good one, dude. Or you meatball? Like, yeah, dude, meatball. Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know. I'm like, it doesn't hit so hard with me. Like, you're the sanctimonious anomaly. No wonder you're liberal. You're a liberal. Go vote. Like, I don't know. When Trump says it, it kind of is like, all right, that's who he is. When everyone else does that shtick, it just feels like a bad idea for like a movement, you know? Like, even a political movement, I'm not telling people to pander and do like, I'm not asking you to be fake and pass fake bills, but there should be a sense of, you might hate me, you might not like it, but this is what we're doing, and come on board, and we're going this way, and agree to disagree. Like, this train's like, screw you, the Sims, you liberal, Thomas Massie, you traitor, you piece of garbage, Kayleigh McEnany, you shouldn't have shared that poll number. You're not even a star. Now you're not a star. Daddy Trump made you a star. Now you're not a star anymore, but you were a star. With Daddy Trump, you're a star. When you're with Daddy Trump makes you a star. As soon as you post a poll number that Trump doesn't like, you're no longer a star, Kayleigh McEnany. It's like, I don't know. Is this a good idea? I'm not saying it can't win, but is that a way to like gain people on your side? Is it? I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe. People like Elon Musk, like Babylon B, he'll talk to Matt Walsh. Like, Matt Walsh is probably further right than Trump on most issues. You don't have to like Matt Walsh, but he's probably more conservative than Trump. Elon and Matt Walsh get along. Why do Elon and Matt Walsh get along, even though Matt Walsh is further right than Trump? because although Matt Walsh doesn't cave, he's not like as annoying. He doesn't like pick as many fights. He's not as like annoying. He sticks to what he does. He's kind of funny and he just does it. It's extreme in what he believes, but he's not really an extreme guy. Like he's very chill in his conservatism. All I'm saying is like, there's such a way to get people on your side. It doesn't matter. Like you don't have to cave to these people, but why does Elon like Matt Walsh, but he doesn't like Donald Trump, even though Matt Walsh is further right than him? It's because how you act. It's just part of it. You know, Trump is funny. It can work. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It didn't work, but the way he's going now, I'm just wondering, is it going to win next time? Like, is it really a way to get when we have all these people ready to be like, all right, we don't like you per se, but we like you more than Biden, or we like you as a person, but we might not agree with that, but we're going to vote for you for the kids. There's so many people ready to embrace something. And I feel like the Trump train is just like Trump talking shit to everybody and everybody being really annoying on his side and thinking that that's like a cool thing to do. But it's only, I feel like it's only appealing to other people who feel that way. Like the Trump shtick is really appealing to you if you like Trump. If you don't really like Trump, not only is his shtick not appealing, but like the shtick that everybody's doing around him is like super annoying. Matt Walsh is further right than Trump, but his shtick it isn't that annoying to everybody. It definitely freaks out the far left and the gays and everything like that, or you know, like he'll freak people out with that stuff. But as far as like people that are independents, moderates that are like, I don't know, dude. I watched the What is a Woman documentary. Like it's pretty crazy. I've known multiple Democrats that have told me that. They've said, I've watched What is a Woman. It's mind blowing. Democrats. Registered Democrats. One likes Bernie. One's just like a normie Democrat, and they like Matt Walsh's documentary, even though he's further right than Trump. There's just something to be said about certain types of attitudes and energy. Trump can't take it away from him. He's done amazing in his life. He's done a lot of cool stuff. He's a rock star. He's a celebrity. He's a builder. He was the president. You know what I'm saying? Trump has lived a very cool life, and I'm not trying to take any of that away. But this type of attitude and basically conditioning his supporters to have this type of attitude. And now you have influencers using their influence to make people mad and throw them in the face of Thomas Massie. Is this a way to win an election? He's lost me. I think he's lost Matt Walsh. I don't think he'll ever get the Joe Rogans and the Elon Musks of the world. And that's okay if you're being true to yourself. But I don't know. I feel like if you lost me, that's not good because I'll stand with you 10 times out of 10 if you're honest, but he lost me. You know, I think Matt Walsh leans DeSantis because he thinks probably the same thing that I think. I can't say that. I've never spoke to Matt Walsh, but just judging by his tweets, I think he sees DeSantis as somebody that actually seems like he has a plan for the left agenda in that sense. And Trump seems like a big like talker. So, you know, he's going to lose people and he's going to gain some people. But I do think that the way to gain people is not just like constantly pissing, like, I don't know, getting pissed off at like former people you worked for. It just seems like a dumb strategy to me. To say Kaylee isn't a star, it's like not even true. Even if the poll numbers are bad, she's only a star if she sucks up to you. I'm not even that fake. Trump is a star, right? He's a star. He's clearly a star. He's been a star his whole life. I'm not going to say Trump's not a star because he doesn't disagree with me. Like that, this is weird. This is like weird behavior. It's not appealing. You know, say what you want about Kaylee. You know, she probably has some terrible opinions, but to just be like, you know, she's not a star. Really? Who's a star then? She's not. I think she did pretty well. I think she was definitely pretty, standout, smart. She's a star. No? Only if she agrees with you, right? Yeah. She agrees with you. She's a star. She disagrees with you. She's not a star anymore. Like this is how petty Trump is. It's not appealing to people. It's not, it's repelling. It repels the Elon Musk. It repels the suburban woman. It repels people like myself. It repels the Matt Walshes. It repels people that are like, yo, let's just get stuff done and not cave. But at the same time, just like not be so like fake and weird and like just let's just do it. And it's like, no, let's just not do it. Let's just talk about it. And it's like, I don't know. Maybe it'll work. I can admit that. But I just don't think it will. I really don't. I really think that this is not going to work. And I even think part of me thinks that the Democrats think that if they do this to Trump, it hurts him in the general and it helps him in the primary. I think they know exactly what they're doing. I think they know that it's going to help him beat DeSantis in this election, but it's going to make him look bad in the general election because conservatives don't care. They would vote for Trump in prison. And I'm not saying you're wrong for that. If you like Trump and they arrest him for bad reasons, then vote for him. I might even. But I don't think the Democrats are stupid. I really don't. I don't think they don't know that Trump's getting fundraising. I don't think they don't know that he's blowing up in the polls. I don't think they don't know that they just handed the primary to him. I think they know. I think they think that this is a good idea. I think they think he's the easiest one to beat against Biden. And some people look at polls and say, no, he's going to win here. He's going to win there. I don't know, though. I really don't. I know that a lot of people really like him, but swing states, places like Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, I don't know. I think DeSantis wins by 10 points. I think Trump cuts it close. But this is not, I'm not a pollster. I'm not running around taking polls. This is just what my intuition says. Trump versus Obama. Michelle's not going to run. She gets questioned enough on Twitter. You know, every day people are like, where's the pictures of her pregnant? The last thing Michelle Obama wants is to be in the spotlight for the next 5 years on social media. That's my opinion. I don't think she wants all that attention. It's a lot to deal with. She deals with it anyway. A lot of people who say that she'll run, I don't think she wants that. I think Gavin Newsom will run or wants to run or will eventually. And he's a scary candidate because he probably would do better than Biden. But I don't see the Michelle thing. Everyone's like, Michelle's going to run. I don't think she wants in the social media era to be under scrutiny every day for the next 6 years. That seems like a nightmare. Someone said the central bank owns the vote counting. Trump won't get in. I mean, the central bank, I don't know if they own the vote counting, but I know that they stay there. They don't care about the election, in my view. Could be wrong. I try to be honest when I'm like, I don't know. I don't say that to flounder. It's just like, I'm not trying to act like a know-it-all. Sometimes people are like, you seem like a huge know-it-all. No, I'll admit when I don't know stuff. I'll be like, maybe, that's why I do that. But the central bank doesn't care if Trump or Biden gets in because they're the central bank. I don't think they need to rig the vote. The vote is rigged in the sense of they own the money supply independently since 1918. And, no one's going to change that. So I can't see them wanting to even get involved in the vote counting. Maybe, though. I don't know. I'm totally wrong. Maybe. But I think if you own the money, it doesn't really matter who's in office. But you could be right. Maybe do people think the central bank's really scared of Trump? Maybe. Probably not. But let me see. Alan Chow, he literally bought Twitter and voted for Trump in 2020. Are you talking about me? Yeah. People remember when I bought Twitter? That was crazy. I was like, yo, I want to buy that. No, I know. You're probably talking about Elon Musk. Well, Elon says he voted for Biden, but then Trump always says, listen, Elon Musk, it's not true. He said he voted for me. We talked, and he said he voted for Donnie Trump, not Biden. But Elon says he voted for Biden. So I don't know. I'm guessing Elon probably voted. I could see him voting for Biden. I could see him voting for Trump. Who knows? I don't think Trump really got the vaccine. That's my little conspiracy theory. Trump says he got the vaccine and the booster. I don't think he did. There's old videos of Trump talking about the flu shot. He said he never got the flu shot. He never got the flu, and then when he was in office, he was like, everybody needs to get the flu shot. I don't think Trump got the vaccine. I think he just pretends he did, but who knows? I don't know. My guess on that doesn't specifically matter or mean anything. Just a thought when they're like, did you get the vaccine? He'll be like you get the booster? He'll be like, yeah, I got the booster. Yeah. Me and Bill O'Reilly, we got boosted. We got boosted, right? Bill's like, yeah, the only way to be a Patriot is to get the booster. Stop booing me. I'm Bill O'Reilly. That's a bad Bill O'Reilly impression, whatever. He was before my time. I was just starting to warm up to Bill O'Reilly, and then he got kicked off the air. I always didn't like him as a kid because I was just conditioned to like hate Bill O'Reilly and hate Sean Hannity. I almost called him O Hannity, gave him a more Irish name. But now that I'm older, like I saw an interview with Bill O'Reilly and Trump, and I actually liked it because Bill O'Reilly was one of the only ones who'd interview Trump and push back. And the day I started liking Bill O'Reilly after hating him my whole life, he like gets kicked out. I was like, darn it, I just started liking this guy. Did anybody else see that? Trump always gets softball interviews, but when Bill O'Reilly interviews him, he's like, why did you do this? What about this? What about that? He kind of like pries a little bit. And I'm like, that's, I get it now. Now I know why boomers like Bill O'Reilly, because he's just kind of like pissed off, but he seems like he'll call it either way, but maybe not. Who knows? Someone said O'Reilly and Hannity are go along simpletons. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Hannity definitely, for sure. He's not complex like Tucker or anything, or as complex as Tucker. But with the O'Reilly thing, I miss that whole era. But boomers love Bill O'Reilly. Like that guy was like the top, one of the best. I get it. Trump gets softball interviews from the right. Yes. I think he always gets softball interviews from the right. And I think he gets insane interviews from the left. And I think that's part of the control system. The left will be like, did you rape someone in a closet in like 1874? And Trump will be like, listen, I was born in the 1900s with my Nikola Tesla time machine that the Q people left for me in the future. There's no way for me to have accessed 1874. I didn't rape somebody in a closet. And then the left will be like, so Trump, did you collude with Russia to steal the economy? And Trump's like, I didn't do that. So the left will just give them these like crazy, insane, like Rachel Maddow interviews, and like none of the questions are even that good. And then you go to the right and they're like, so Trump, what's it like being so amazing? And he's like, it's crazy. I just wake up and it smells like gold. What does gold smell like? I don't know. You can experience it sometime. Oh, wait, you can't. You're not me. Oh, that's a shame. You're more like little Rand Paul. Good policy, little boy. I step on him like a ladybug. And then it's like, yo. And then like the next question will be like, so Trump, did it hurt being so good? And he'll be like, it hurt a little bit. It's a little hard. Thanks for asking. Did anybody see the interview with this guy? Oh, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. It's okay. No, but it really happened. I forget his name. It was like Ari something, Hoffman or something. Trump, he gave an interview, and I'm trying to think of the question. I remember the answer. Like, he asked him some sort of question, and Trump started talking about Israel, and Trump was like, Israel used to literally control our Congress. Literally. They literally controlled Congress. He's like, and then the squad gets in, and I can't believe it. I can't believe the squad is there because Israel. And then the press was like, Trump is anti-Semitic. Trump says Israel controls Congress. Trump says this. And like the whole time that Trump's doing that guy was like shaking his head. It's so funny. He's like, before, when I was in office, Israel controlled Congress, and now they can't. Isn't that a shame? And the guy's like, oh my gosh, sure, yes, sir. And then he asked Trump about the vaccine, and Trump's like, I saved 100 million lives, 50 million lives. Some say 75 million lives. I saved a lot of lives. A lot of lives were saved lives, lots of lives saved with my vaccine. It was amazing. I mean, Operation Warp Speed, even the FDA was like, slow down, Donald Trump. And I was like, no, faster. I got to go fast. We got to rush it out. And like the guy's like, oh yeah, this is so great. Dude, not a single person has ever in an interview pushed back when he said that. If I interviewed him and I would be like, what data point do you have that it saved 100 million lives? Because no one believes that. I would literally say that to him. This is why I'd get banned from Mar-a-Lago for life. I'd be like, where can you explain to me how your vaccine saved 100 million lives? Because I don't believe that. Your entire base doesn't believe that. Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates don't even believe that. And you probably don't even believe that. And then he'd be like, no one said that. They literally just are like, He's like, my vaccine, some would say I saved 50 million lives. And we're like, yeah. So That's the false dichotomy, is the left asks some insane questions. They're like, did you have sex with a bat in order to create the virus? Did you kill everybody with COVID? Trump killed everyone with COVID. And he's like, I didn't kill people. It was the left, and then the right's like, so can you tell me more about the vaccine? It's really good. Like, how does no one say that? No one's like, I don't believe that. Dude, when I had David Harris on, I asked him about that and he was like, maybe. I'm like, bro, I know you don't believe that the vaccine saved 100 million lives. Like, I know that. So like, why not just be like, yeah, no, I disagree. It's insanely inaccurate. Like, even his biggest supporters will be like doing mental gymnastics, like try to figure out how it makes sense. Like, maybe he saved the whole world, and the world has like 8 billion people in it. So if he saved, 1/10 of the world with the open and the lockdown, like, bro, you don't believe that, bro. Just like if DeSantis said to me, if he said I saved 100 million lives, I wouldn't be like, oh, well, maybe, DeSantis did save 100 million lives. Like, no, you didn't, dude. It's nuts. I was on today. I had a great chat. I'll post it tomorrow. But like, I was explaining that to the Red Eagle guy, and we were getting along because I'm like, bro, I'm not one of these DeSimps that'll just be like, oh yeah, he never did. I don't understand what people are doing. It makes me feel like weird. I'm like, why am I even here? If this is what this is, I don't even want to be here. But I want to go do something else. In general, though, you have people in the DeSantis side. How many DeSantis influencers have you seen that keep saying stuff that I was saying and you were saying in 2020? And listen, I'm not saying this because it's mine. It's not like, oh, I have this. It's mine. It's my policy. I want people to say it. But the question I'm asking, the reason I'm saying this is like, did any of these DeSantis influencers that are now like Trump and Fauci, Trump and lockdowns, where were they in 2020? I can't think of a single person in the DeSantis camp that's like, Trump locked down too long. Operation Warp Speed was a failure, blah, blah, blah. Where were you for 3 years? Do you even believe what you're saying? It's true, but do you believe it? Or are you just saying it because you want DeSantis to beat Trump? If these same influencers were saying this in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, or figured it out along the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm so glad to have you. But the weird part is, this is why the Trump and the DeSantis thing is a perfect false paradigm. It's a bunch of phonies on both sides and they're clashing. And it just so happens, I think that the DeSantis side tells a little more truth because Trump is just not who he used to be. But it's not like they're super authentic with it. I don't know, were they really outspoken in 2020 about all this stuff? Because now I'm being accused of a DeSimp because I sound like these people. And they're like, well, they're saying that, so you must be them. The difference is I said this in 2020 when it mattered, and I actually believe it. I don't think any of these people were saying it then. And I'm not saying you can't evolve and learn, but this is the angle that people go and why we keep getting tricked. I want to take Bill Mitchell, for example. Bill Mitchell seems like a super nice guy. I'm sure we'd get along. But Bill Mitchell was the biggest Trump supporter in the world, to the extent that even though I like Trump, I pretty much ignored him for 4 years because I could just tell he was like, Trump, 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 Trump. He's like a Trump sycophant for 4 years. Like, nobody liked Trump more than Bill Mitchell. And now he's a DeSantis sycophant. Nobody likes DeSantis more than Bill Mitchell. I get why he flipped, but all I have to say is to my brother, God bless you, my man. You don't have to do that. You don't have to always do that all the time. You don't have to be like Trump, 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 and just like live your whole life and then go to the other side and be like, I'm glad Trump's getting arrested. Like, you don't have to be that guy. Like, why do people think they have to do that? They leave the left and they join the right, and they're the same person. They're like, I walked away from the left, now I'm on the right, and now I'm just let's take a breath. And let's look at stuff and let's be honest, right? We're supposed to be right-leaning because we're honest. We're supposed to like Trump because we're honest. We're supposed to, support DeSantis or whoever because we're honest. It just feels like, to me, so many people are just like team sporty that they don't even know why they support it. It's so weird. I just feel like lost. It's weird because I felt like I had something. And I'm like, oh, this is my squad up. You know what I'm saying? We got a movement here. And now I just feel like this. I'm like, this is not me. This is not me. I don't know what this is anymore. And I just stand in the middle and say the same thing. And people are like, you piece of DeSimp. You freaking, who paid you to say that? who's going to pay me to say this? Like, I don't even just say DeSantis things. I'm willing to be like, no, I don't like that. Like, oh, you don't like DeSantis. No, I don't know. I don't have to like it. It's not, I don't know how to just make up stuff and be like, yeah, I really like that. I really like, do you? No. I'm just pretending to, because my team likes it. Like, how do people even do this? I don't understand it. I really don't. It's okay to be like, nah. It'd be like someone like, yo, do you like ham and cheese omelets and you don't eat ham for religious reasons? And you're like, yeah, yeah, that's what I would have ordered myself. And it's like, really? You're like, no, dude, I'm kosher or whatever. Like, yeah, the Bible said not to eat that stuff, so I don't eat it. Like, just who are you? It's okay to evolve, but it just feels like most of what I see is that. But it could just be my feed. Maybe I need to unfollow. I think I like UFC and stuff like that because it's not so negative. It's funny. People always say sports are a distraction. Don't look at sports. It's the circus. I don't know, man. I think that politics is also a circus. So I'd rather be in the circus of sports and have fun than be in a political circus and be like miserable. But let me see. Rusty said, I voted for Trump 2 times. He failed. He fired 0 in DC. This is just true. Now the folks he refused to fire are trying to destroy him. Yeah, and I know that. I agree, Rusty. And I understand the narrative that people have, like, oh, he really learned his lesson. Did he, though? I don't know. Maybe. I think he learned his lesson in the sense of they're coming after him, but I don't actually think he has good people near him. I'm not going to name names because there's some cool people near him, but there's a lot of not, like, there's only like 3 people I even like near him. He's got a bunch of psychotic yes men around him, like his campaign guy that's always yelling. Like, he just acts like Trump, and that's not even his real personality. It's just, I don't think he has a bunch of like real patriots behind him. I'm not saying voting. I'm just saying like in his inner circle and stuff. I don't know. Maybe. I just hope if he wins, first of all, I hope he beats Biden. If he loses to Biden, no one's going to admit that he lost. They'll just say it was cheated. But if he wins, then I don't know. I'm not saying they're not going to cheat a little bit, but I could already predict, and I don't want to think this way because I never thought that the lockdown was going to happen. And then that happened. I was like, that'll never happen. And then it happened. And I was like, damn. But I can already just see, like, Trump runs his base in circles. The media and the Democrats elevate him to beat DeSantis in the primary because they arrested him. The arrest doesn't stick. In the general, he loses. Then his people are pissed off because they think that he got cheated. And then he's going to summon them. Like, I just see it. I hope that doesn't happen. But if Trump runs against Biden, I hope he wins. But it feels like people want to lose to me. Like, they don't want to think that they have to get people on their side. I feel like they just feel so entitled. Like, because I like Donald Trump, that everyone should agree with me, and I don't even have to sell them on my ideas anymore. I don't know. It just feels like that's very likely is like a controlled demolition of the Republican Party. It's like, elevate that guy. You know what I'm saying? Get everybody yelling at each other. He gets in, he loses, but it's cheated, and now we got to be pissed off, and now we got to go in the streets, and now, like, I just see that happening, and it's like, I'm just like last time. I something just fell off. I went with my intuition. Something fell off. Something fell off about November through January. I like Trump. I wanted him to win. I thought he would sue for it, but I guess I'll say this, and then I have to go because I've been here too long. But this was the red flag to me. When you think that Donald Trump got cheated, and I was on his side, and I was like, yo, this is messed up. I hope he sues them. I hope he can get cameras to find where they stole the ballots, etc. I was on that side. But here's the difference between me and a lot of people. And I'm not saying I'm the only one or I'm so special. It's just worth considering because I think our emotions are exploited. And even mine got exploited to a certain extent. I'm not above it. But in general, when you want something to happen so bad, you want Trump to win, and you think he got cheated, you're willing to believe anybody who tells you that. So if Sidney Powell goes along, or Lynn Wood, or all of these people, we're inclined to believe them and I'm not saying I don't know what they said or what they did, but it's almost like this person's telling me what I want to hear. I want Trump to win. they're telling me we have a chance and they have a crack in and they have the way. So then we just start out of emotion believing anyone who tells me what we want to hear. Now there's people who think he won all 50 states. Kerry Lake retweeted some guy who made the case for why Donald Trump won all 50 states. He didn't win all 50 states. That almost undermines our movement. If we say we got cheated and we got to prove how, but then we have someone on our side saying he won all 50 states, it makes us look like an idiot. It's like saying that's racist, but then saying everything's racist. No, everything's racist. Everything's racist. Now that word doesn't mean anything. We're not going to be able to make the election fair if people like Kerry Lake are going to just say everything all the time and retweet threads to show how we won all 50 states. It makes us look insane. And I'm like, are they purposely doing this or by mistake? But the thing is, that's who gets popular. The person who tells you exactly what you want to hear gets popular. So it becomes this like adrenaline rush. If I don't say all those things, or I don't think the Mules documentary was as good as everyone else thinks, I'm a traitor. You know what I'm saying? That's what it becomes. Thomas Massie's a traitor for standing up against the Constitution. I want the elections to be more fair. I don't think it was 100% fair, but I don't see it the way other people see it. I get attacked because I'm not the top of the totem pole of the most extreme version. The won all 50 states. This is how it happened. This is how it happened. It was this, it was this, it was this, but they don't actually have proof. So then nothing happens because they're not being focused on what they could do. They're just being as hysterical as possible. That's kind of how I see the movement now. It's ripe for another scam. Where when it comes to cheating, one of the things that was the biggest way that they cheated, one of the several ways, was the covering up the Hunter laptop story. Everybody knows that. That's real. That can't ever happen again. They covered that up to manipulate the opinions. The lockdowns didn't help. The riots didn't help. The mass mail-in ballot scheme didn't help. There's a lot of things, and Republicans aren't necessarily innocent, all of them either. So we have to take accountability. If we want to be a movement of righteousness and right all these wrongs of how the election was messed up, we have to take accountability for what we played into their trap. But that's the problem with the Trump movement, is they never take accountability. Nothing he ever did was wrong. He's 100% a victim. And we got to listen to Kerry Lake tell us everything that we want to hear, and we're going to believe it. And if you don't believe her, you're the bad person. It's like, to me, this whole movement just seems like a trap now. And it's felt that way to me. So during November, December, I liked Trump. I wanted him to win. I believed in it. But when I started straying from the people who ended up going to the Capitol, and I'm not saying like everybody did anything wrong. Most people there did nothing wrong. They got set up and people tried to ruin their life for just listening to Trump talk. That's what most people did there. It wasn't an insurrection. It was just a sloppy protest turned into like, them probably wanting Trump supporters to go in there so they could arrest them. But long story short, when I started straying from the norm, because I was lockstep with everybody on the Trump got cheated, I was with it. I just started seeing certain things, and I didn't just believe every single thing I ever heard ever. Like, I started following Lin Wood, and I don't hate Lin Wood, but he started posting stuff that I just objectively knew wasn't true. Like, they were fake articles and stuff. And I had people that were mad at me for pointing out that conservativebeaver.com at the time was like a fake parody site. So he's posting like Obama got arrested at the Vatican, and everybody's telling me, and I'm like, yo, it's not true. I'm 100% sure that that's not true. That story's fake and that article's fake. It's not real. And people are like, screw you. How dare you ruin us? Like, do you get what I'm saying? The psychology of like, now it becomes, we're going to make the election fair. We're the good guys. We're going to believe everything everyone says. And if anybody challenges anything that we say, they're the traitors and they're the rhinos, the same way Massie does. So the red flags to me were, even though I wanted Trump to win and I thought that he'd be able to pull it off from November to January, because I thought that it was obviously, sketchy, I started seeing how Trump was tweeting, and he went from somebody that was like someone I really agreed with most of what he's saying to someone I disagreed with what he was saying. He's Moderna. He was pushing the Moderna shot too much, and I had done too much research on what went on there. So it made me stop trusting him. I said, if he tweeted about it once or twice, I'd be fine. But he tweeted about it like 6 times. And I'm like, he seems like a puppet. Trump seems like a big pharma puppet who's trying to like basically like be like, ooh, election Moderna. It's like high level psychology manipulation of like, give them something they want, shove it down their throat, give them something they want. It's like putting a bald eagle on a vaccine and putting a gay flag on a vaccine. It's like Trump just seemed like a vaccine salesman to me at that point. So I started calling January 6th the vaccine rally, because I was just joking. I'm like, what is everyone going to go and listen to Trump talk about the vaccine? Well, long story short, as things started going on, I thought the way that Trump would win would be a court case. And I thought that they would sue and find evidence. And the truth is, as somebody that thought that more would happen, I was underwhelmed. I was underwhelmed by what Sidney Powell put out. I was underwhelmed by the evidence. I thought we'd have video footage and this and that. And 1,000 Mules is nice to make money off conservatives and show them stuff. But really, like a bunch of data points of like cell phone pings, to me, that wasn't like mind blowing. It was like, I mean, it was perfect to like milk conservatives dry. And then 4 months later, no one talks about it. But to me, even that wasn't like that great of evidence. Like I thought that was overblown. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I can't even say that because everybody's so emotional. When that documentary came out, emotional. If you disagree and don't think that's the best documentary ever, then you're a bad person. Where's that documentary now? You know what's still around? What is a Woman? Do you know why? Because it's a relevant documentary. Where's that 1,000 Mules documentary, or whatever it's called? It's no 10,000 Mules. It's nowhere to be found. Why? I don't know. If it was so relevant, why is it still not there? Why is everybody not talking about it? It didn't age as well as What is a Woman? It just didn't. But that's fine. It was, an interesting one but I can't even say that to people. So that's what the movement becomes over topics. They get so mad at things that happen that they become so emotional that they just believe and get manipulated by anybody that's willing to manipulate them. So as that starts going on, I start seeing these things. December starts rolling around and, Trump starts talking about the Mike Pence option and everyone starts talking about the Mike Pence option. And it was really shitty for me because it was like, I don't like Mike Pence. I'm trying to be as like explain it as well. I never liked Mike Pence that much. Yeah, he was a great vice president, nice Christian guy, but he's a politician. You know what I'm saying? He was in on the coronavirus task force stuff. Not like a Mike Pence fanatic where I'm defending him, but everyone started going with this narrative that he's going to give the electorates back and save the election, and he's a traitor for not doing that. And at the time, I disagreed with that, but I'm not trying to seem like the bad guy. And I'm just like, listen, we all know that this was a last-ditch effort. Let's be honest about it. We didn't want to wait for Mike Pence in January. We wanted to win the day of. We didn't want to wait for Mike Pence in January. We wanted the court cases to work, the Supreme Court case. All of these other options fell through, and then we had to do a Hail Mary. And I was just being honest about it because people were so emotional and people were so angry and people were so hyped up, which is a perfect recipe to get set up by the feds, which is what happened, which is why you shouldn't act that way. But whatever, people were like, I didn't even want to say it because it's like, listen, I don't like Mike Pence. I don't trust Mike Pence. But I think it's a pretty insane Hail Mary to try. I mean, you could try it, but don't act like it's going to work. You're trying to get him to send the electorates back. It doesn't even really make sense. That's why it never happens. Because if Mike Pence could change the election, then there is no election. That means Kamala Harris decides. If Mike Pence can't overturn the election, what can he do? He could send the electorates back. Where? These are the questions I'd ask, and people would try to bite my head off. Where can he send the electorates back to? Back to where they came from. Why would he send them back? Like, he can't change the vote of Pennsylvania. He can only send it back to the electorates. Why did what's going to happen? Oh, they're going to change the vote. Why? Because they said so. Guys, no, they're not. If they were going to change the vote, they could have the first time. They didn't do it. So now you're going to bite Mike Pence's head off saying that he should send the votes back so they could send them back to people that already sent them in to him. They're the ones who could change them based on the vote. It would be unprecedented, but they could do that. So for him to send them back to them with the idea that you think that they're going to now all of a sudden change their mind after a month, it was always stupid, in my opinion. But saying that makes people hate me. They're like, oh, you're in on it. I'm not in on it. I just objectively think it's as somebody that wants Trump to win, you failed every option to get him back in the courts. So now you're throwing a Hail Mary to Mike Pence. And when it hits the ground, you're going to bite his head off. There's 1,000 things that he did, but that to me wasn't even one of them. But people don't want to hear that because they just want to be pissed off. Yeah, you want to be pissed off. You want to go here. You want to go here. And then a bunch of people get set up because they're pissed off. They're just freaking out. Republicans get exploited by their people all the time because that's what the base wants. They don't want the uncomfortable truth like a Thomas Massie. They want the lie. They want a Carrie Lake who's going to send them, well, this happened. I feel like a lot of stuff did happen in Arizona, but I don't believe Carrie Lake. Sorry, I just don't. It's like, I don't hate her, but like everything she says, I don't listen to her. It's like, I saw her retweet a thread that Republicans won all 50 states. That's not going to help us win the next election. That's not going to help us make it fair. We got to stick to what's really going on and then fix it and then show proof and then do it. We can't run people in circles. To this person who said I'm a clown, that's fine. But if you want to run in circles, you can run in circles. You're the type of person who wants Lynn Wood to just tell you something and you believe it. I have my own thought process. So I agree with some things they say. I disagree with some things, but this is the movement now. It's a bunch of hyped up people who will believe anything that someone says. I could say Joe Biden's a communist and China paid Thomas Massie, and, Thomas Massie's working with the Saudis, and, people would believe it and they'd be like, fuck yeah, you're like, you don't even have to tell the truth to MAGA. It's sad. They'll believe anything. They'll do anything. You just have to tell them what they want to hear. Here's how you fool MAGA. It's sad. Say, the election was stolen, so blank, and then fill in the blank with anything and they'll believe it. I believe that that's true. That's true. That's true. But if someone says 15 ways it was stolen and I believe 10 of them, I don't have to act like all 15 are. But what the MAGA movement is whoever makes the most outlandish claim that they can't possibly prove that seems bigger than the other ones is the one who rises to the top, because that's the one that people want to hear. They don't want to systemically look at it and be like, we made mistakes here. We got scammed here. Our party sold us out here. The Democrats bamboozled us here. They cheated here. We screwed up here. We opened the door for them. We didn't do enough here. And here's how we're going to solve it. It's like, we didn't do anything wrong. The Democrats did everything. We're the eternal victims, and we'll believe anything that anyone says to us. Someone said the courts won't save us. Deal with it. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but so what is the solution? So if the courts won't do it, you want to go to the Capitol and get set up? Like, what? I don't understand. What, like, is that? I think that's what some people want to do. I had a convo with someone before, and it's like, I see certain things differently. I'm not a coward. I'll stand up for what I believe in, but I don't understand how me going to something that I don't believe in and getting set up, I don't understand how that makes, like, it's not my thing. Some people want to do that. Brian said, we get it. You don't understand. Bro, you can do whatever you want, bro. It's not for me. Like, I don't think me getting angry somewhere, acting emotional, acting irrational, believing lies, and then getting set up without even knowing what I'm doing, and then the person that I got set up for doesn't even care about me, but I think he does. Like, that sounds really unappealing to me. I don't want to do that, but some people want to do that. They want to hear whoever can make the craziest, loudest claim to the point where none of it matters anymore. If you say that's racist and that's racist, it's a stupid word at this point. But at the end of the day, if you could pinpoint why something is discriminatory against one race and not another, people could take you seriously and maybe you could do something. But if you call everything racist all the time, no one's going to listen to you anymore. So that's kind of like with the Trump and the Kerry Lakes and stuff. I do think there was funny business in Arizona. I mean, there was. Everyone saw it. The machines didn't work. Was there more? It's definitely possible. But as far as you understand what I'm saying, as far as how far are we going to push this? Are we going to say these 3 states are cheating because they have mass mail-in ballots and they count for 5 years? Or are we going to say we won all 50 states and that's how, if people believe that, they have the right to. I don't believe that, though. But this is the point I'm trying to make. Not believing that makes me the enemy to certain people. I'm the enemy. I'm the enemy because I dare challenge someone who said that we won all 50 states. You think they won all 50 states, my man? It's just weird to me that people will complain, we've lost. Like, if you go to Los Angeles, it's very liberal. It's not a good time. You go to San Francisco, it's very liberal, and they have a lot of people there. California, even if you go to conservative areas of California, there's a lot of liberals there. Liberals, the kids, they're taking over a lot of stuff. Texas is becoming very liberal. Austin's liberal. Dallas is becoming liberal. Liberals do exist. You don't have to like them, but this idea that you won all states is delusional. This was not a Ronald Reagan election, Trump versus Biden. It just wasn't. If you can't even admit that Republicans lost at least 3 states, then I'm not going to appeal to you, and I don't care. But you're going to want to listen to Carrie Lake or something. She'll appeal to you. She'll tell you what you want to hear, and I hope she has some success. All 52 states. It's just like that's what people want. I'm coming to that conclusion that I'm not what people want, And that's okay. People don't want to actually fix the problem or do something. They just want to be aimlessly mad, upset, and they will be exploited by anybody that's conniving enough to use their emotions against them. And I'm not saying necessarily Carrie Lake is all those things. I don't listen to her enough. I'm just saying the fact that she's retweeting threads that we won all 50 states, there's a market for that. I'm not that market. I feel like that's going to destroy the movement. Like we can't even pinpoint what's going on now. We just have to make broad, outlandish claims off of like bad data points. But, someone said nothing is ever done when Democrats cheat and break the law. We are sick of it. This feels like you're excusing it. 50 states is a distraction argument. Do you notice how angry and emotional you sound? Nothing's ever done in all caps. We are sick of it. We're sick. I know you're sick of everything, right? You're always sick, 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 sick. It's going to make you sick feeling that sick all the time. And then you get exploited because you're so mad. You feel that way. You feel like that. You feel like I'm making excuses for it because I'm challenging people that you probably follow, that you probably believe everything they say. So it just feels wrong when somebody challenges them. It just feels wrong. It feels better when nothing ever gets done. It feels better when they just run you in circles. I can't help that feeling for you. If that's the way you want to feel, you'll be angry, upset, and confused your whole life. If you notice, I'm really not that angry anymore because it's all a joke to me. When I see something that RFK does that I don't like, I don't even care. It's a joke. DeSantis, I get it. Trump, I get it. I get it. I'm not buying into this false illusion anymore. But the people that are always so angry all the time. They're like, I don't think it's just the Democrats, and I don't think it's just the rhinos and Trump's above it. I don't think any of those things anymore. I vote Republican. I think there's some good ones, but this idea that like you don't feel like, I get it. No one feels like that. If I say that 10,000 Mules was a documentary that was interesting, but I really don't think it was that good or compelling, can't be used in court, and isn't going to do anything, I'm the bad guy, right? You feel like I'm making an excuse for it when everybody else says, go watch it, go buy it, screw you, traitor, if you don't watch. What did that do? All that talk, the screw you, traitor, if you don't like 10,000 Mules, screw you. What happened with that? Made lots of money. That documentary was not cheap. They had a very high price on it, and it made a fortune. That's fine. I want them to make money. That's a great thing. I'm just saying what came from all that anger, all that outrage, all that you got to watch this right now. And if you don't believe in it, you're a bad person. Nothing happened. It didn't matter because it doesn't hold up in court. And honestly, when it comes to cell phone pings like that, I'm not fully convinced that really even means that much. Like I don't know. Like that person went in 8 different directions. Yeah, good luck doing anything with that sort of information. What if it was an Uber Eats driver that stops 15 times a day? You're not going to be able to pull it in court because you don't even know who it was, let alone it is what it is. Like, do I think that they cheated? Yes. Do I think that the mass mail-in ballot scheme is bad? Yes. Do I think that Republicans played into the Democrats' hands for far too long and the Democrats ate their lunch? Yes. Do I think that there were other things that Republicans failed on that allowed all that to happen? Yeah. I think they sat on their hands for too long and, they got. But also I think that there were other things that manipulated the election, such as the riots, obviously. I think the COVID lockdowns definitely provided some psychological manipulation. I think the fact that everyone was locked in their house when they had to vote did bring out more young people. I know people won't want to admit this, but people that I know for sure that never would vote, that don't care, that would be somewhere else, they weren't allowed to be somewhere else. And all the Democrats were strategic in getting people to register, vote. All you had to do was vote because you couldn't go anywhere. So I know multiple people that probably voted for Joe Biden that never would have voted just based off the manipulation alone. So for me, it's like Republicans sit on their hands with all that stuff. They never mention it. And then they have a bunch of sycophants running around saying, I got an 89-hour cyber symposium and I have 50 states. And, to me, that's all a circus for angry people to get mad over and feel like they're accomplishing something more than me, where I just see it as the Republican Party doesn't really care that much. Because if they cared, they'd admit the 30 things that they did wrong and played into the left. It's not just that. There's also the fact that everyone was stuck at home. They let the slippery slope of lockdowns seep into our country for far too long. Trump didn't correct. He blew it. In my opinion, everything was blown. I remember the day. It was when he said he was going to open the country after 15 days to slow the spread. 15 days. And I remember he went on TV. I'll never forget it because it was one of my saddest days. I was like, damn, Trump really ruined America. I was like, he blew it. He's like, I knew after a couple days, I'm like, dude, he's got to open this country up. They're lying to him. I'm making videos. Trump, look at the data. They're lying to you. Trump, Sweden should open. And Trump looks at this fake chart behind him and says, we got to keep the lockdown going. And he extended Easter Sunday. He extended 15 days to slow the spread. And he extended the guidelines all the way till May. With his leadership, he could have led the Republican charge to open up all the states and say, let's stop this scam. But he didn't do that. I knew they were lying, and Trump blew it. So once he blew that, once he allowed the 15 days to turn into 30 and 40 days, he dug his grave. He dug the grave of the country. So, this idea that the Republicans just got cheated and there's nothing else that happened, the Republicans are fake. They allowed a lot of this stuff to happen. And one of the main things that happened was the fact that everyone was stuck at home. The Democrats got everybody to register, did mass mail-in ballots, and they probably got like 20 million more votes because of that. Because if everything was open and if things weren't locked down for so long and we could push back against the Democrats more, it wouldn't have been so easy for them to do that. And the thing is, when it comes to Florida and DeSantis, he did lock down. He did push the vaccine. I'm not a delusional liar to say he did none of that. But the difference between him and Trump was DeSantis turned and became the leader of opening. And it was like him versus Gavin Newsom for a long time, because he was like, come to Florida, live in Florida, fly to Florida. And DeSantis became the de facto leader of the Republican Party because he was pushing against their agenda super, super hard. And one could argue, I would certainly, that DeSantis did more to get America open than Trump did because of Florida. Eventually a lot of liberal states lost a lot of money, lost a lot of business, lost the narrative that wasn't making sense anymore. And eventually they held on to it for as long as they can, but eventually they had to open up because they had no more string left to run. These lockdowns wouldn't have lasted for 20 years if Trump didn't rush a vaccine. That's a fake theory made up by Trump's sycophants and people who work for them to brainwash conservatives into thinking communism and lockdowns are cool and vaccine socialism scams are cool. It's not. They're lying to you. The country wouldn't have stayed locked down. There's competition between the states, and at a certain point, California just couldn't do it anymore. But a large reason for that was not just Kristi Noem and others. It was Ron DeSantis really leading the charge against that. Like, that's real history, and everybody knows it, just go to these Twitter accounts of people that hate him now. They'll be saying the same stuff. So long story short, this is part of the election narrative. Do you realize how none of that stuff I just said is ever mentioned by these other people? We won all 50 states. You're a traitor. You're a traitor. Rah, rah, rah. Get pissed off. Buy my stuff. Rah, 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 rah. Guys, they're professional agitators. They're just winding you up. And eventually you're going to get set up because you're aimlessly angry. It's like, yes, they did this. Yes, the Democrats did this. But if you can't even admit, which they will never admit, that Trump and the Republicans did all these things, then you're not the victim. This isn't a movement of victim. It's a movement of a party that doesn't care about you, and they exploit your emotion and your anger against you. And they constantly use it over and over and over. And people hate it. Like, people don't want to hear that, but I'm just tired of seeing people get angry and set up. And it really starts to hit home where it's like, bro, you want to be angry at this person, this, whatever. You're angry at Thomas Massie. Really? That's your whole thing? And, I saw that I didn't watch it, but someone had mentioned to me that the guy debated years ago, Styx Hexenhammer, mentioned me and Thomas Massie saying we're blah, 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 because of the Adam Schiff vote. Bro, we had a whole debate, and he can't even admit still. I don't know if he's admitting it now. The whole debate was over Republicans and Trump printed too much money, and that helped lead to inflation. And he said, no, it didn't. It's all Biden. He's lying. So these are the people that are holier than thou, whatever he pretends to be, saying, oh, Thomas Massie's really showed his true colors. Bro, you won't even admit that the money printing Republicans did led to all this stuff. He's like a pathological, diabolical liar. He's got his people caught in the same Trump spiral. He's just like the demonic, satanic offshoot of like the Trump scammy movement, where it's like, patriots, printing money doesn't matter when we do it. It's patriots, everyone who stands up for the Constitution's bad. It's like, it's all so fake. It's fine. It's just like, I'm trying to help people not get scammed like that. Be patriotic, show love, believe what you believe in, stand strong for what you believe in. But the last thing I'm going to say before I leave is, understand that there are people who are going to exploit you for your emotions. And just like the left uses rainbow flags and rainbow pride events to push their agenda, and people can't see past the flag, a lot of people can't see past Trump. And a lot of people can't see past their emotion, so they're going to get exploited. If they think the election is stolen, they'll believe anyone that tells them that. It's easy to trick Q and Trump people. I'm not saying you should, but I'm just saying it would be easy to do that, because if you were a Q person, you just go, just say whatever. Be like, yeah, Trump saved the world with you just got to like start pathologically lying in favor of him no matter what happens and make up stuff. And they'll all love you. They'll believe whatever you say. And it's the same with this sort of thing. It's like, just be like, this was taken, so this must be true. It's like, just because this is true doesn't mean this is true. If that happened with the election, everyone that's milking you dry off of saying they're fixing it aren't fixing it. I always said with Mike Lindell, I'm not saying he's a bad person, but it's like, I don't think he's fixing the election. People are, he's so patriotic. He's really doing it. Doing what? What's he doing? The cyber symposium? It's overhyped? No, it's not overhyped. It was really great. What did it do? What bombshells are still being shared to this day that aged well? Yuri Bezmenov clips still get shared all the time. What is a woman still get shared all the time? There's old Trump clips that still get shared all the time because they're timeless. They aged well. A lot of these things that everybody got freakishly mad at me over didn't age well to the point where no one's even mentioning it anymore, So just a thought, thank you guys for hanging out. That's a 3-hour stream. I'm exhausted. Think about it. And don't, be righteous, but don't be so angry and emotional that you get exploited for your attempted righteousness. Even boxers do not get angry when they fight. Even MMA fighters are not angry and emotional when they fight, because if you're angry and emotional, you lose, you get exploited. And there are people in all parties and all movements who will do that. So I'm just trying to let people know to think about things a little bit. If Thomas Massie votes one way and everyone votes the other way, 99% of the time, Thomas Massie is the right one and they're the wrong one. On free speech, on foreign aid, that's usually the case. So if he votes against what you say, you don't have to like it. You don't have to agree it. You're not a Massie NPC, but the least you could do is take a day to look at what he said he's doing and see if you think it's right or wrong, not just scream at him like a hyena and try to make everybody hate him over something that's going to get passed in a week in a more constitutional manner that'll probably stand up and be even stronger and more effective. So, I hate this, like, just be emotional and nasty to people. It's an ugly game. Don't do it. Don't let it, don't let it affect you, and just understand that it's okay to think about these stuff and do it. But do not think that just being angry and emotional necessarily makes you right, and necessarily means that everyone who taps into that is necessarily like helping you so much. That's the game, my friends. God bless you guys. 3-hour live stream. I got to stop doing these. What am I doing? I'm always like, I got to, no live stream tomorrow. I'm posting my debate and I'm taking the weekend off. God bless you guys. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stayintouchwithme.com. So check the links below in the description, or just type in on any browser, stayintouchwithme.com, all one word. You'll find my email list, put it in there, and it's the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I barely use it because I don't like getting emailed every day or every week. It's annoying, so I don't do it. Stayintouchwithme.com. It helps me take back some power away from big tech. Telegram, t.me/dreamrarechat or @dreamrarechat. Due to censorship, I post all my live stream and videos there. Sometimes I have some bonus content, and I try to give people a heads up when Facebook or YouTube won't. Dream Rare Chat at Telegram. My Instagram is at Dream Rare. Thanks for everybody following there for shorter content. And DreamRareLinks.com, that's DreamRareLinks.com, has all my stuff. My podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, my music on Spotify and Apple, my Rumble page, my BitChute and Gab page. All my links are found at DreamRareLinks.com. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless you. You already know I'll be back with more content soon. Appreciate you.